Welcome everybody to High and Low, a podcast about talking picture shows.
We do films that are corny, and some that are horny, and some that win Academy Awards.
Doing all kind of movies from all kind of genres, serving hot takes like plates of lasagna.
Before we get going, a warning to you. You might hear some talk that's a little blue.
We sometimes cuss and we sometimes curse. We like to do it off the cuff and don't rehearse.
Now if this sounds like your kind of show,
Tune in,
Drop out.
This is High and Low.
Double target, female trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Balls of dragon we must take, and in the cauldron boil and bake.
Viking sweat and hose of frost, in the cauldron we must toss.
For a charm of double trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Oh, that is no one at our chamber door. That's just the continued deterioration of the High and Low studio as it falls apart around us. But that's not going to deter us.
Thanks, Piccolo.
There was an epic karate fight here. What can we say?
You, dear listener, could help us staple these cushions to the walls so that we can continue with the extra sound quality if you rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast.
Yeah. But I think it just goes to show how dedicated we are, that even in these conditions, we can get together like this to discuss two terrific films, just really terrific, based on the work of William Shakespeare.
Who?
You guys heard about him?
The Bard.
The Bard himself.
Yeah, these movies are movies,
Yeah.
and they're both based on Shakespeare, one of his most famous plays, Macbeth.
Yeah. The Scottish play.
Yes.
Yes, we must not say the play Macbeth.
Ah, well, the way the curse works is if you're doing rehearsal or if you're doing a production, then you're allowed to say it, but you can't say it within the theater or the podcast studio.
Okay.
Lest Piccolo come and collapse your house on you.
That ancient curse. Well, we're taking a trip with Macbeth to Edo, Japan, and to 2006 Australia. We've got Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood from 1957, and we've got Geoffrey Wright's Macbeth from 2006.
A kind of lesser known movie for sure. I don't think anybody saw it, and that's probably for the best, but it was an adaptation where they kept all of the dialogue and kind of, like Romeo plus
Some
Juliet.
of the dialogue.
Some of they did cut out some major stuff, actually.
Yeah.
But it's like Romeo plus Juliet, where they're putting it in modern times, whereas Throne of Blood, it's an adaptation. There's the overall theme and story are the same, but it's like the beats are kind of the same, but they're very different than Macbeth as far as...
Yeah, Kurosawa really made the material his own compared to Geoffrey Wright. Yeah, it's weird in the Geoffrey Wright one. Sometimes they'll insert a scene in that doesn't have dialogue for it, doesn't have Shakespeare dialogue for it, so it's just kind of like a weirdly silent scene where they're exchanging glances and
You're like, why?
yeah.
Yeah, what is going on
We're
here?
here for the Bard's poetry, and we chose two movies. One that has none of it, and then another one that has some of it.
Yeah.
Some of it. And, when you're thinking Shakespeare, you're thinking usually there people put on an English affectation or whatever. And, in the Australian one, they're all a bunch of Aussie bogans throwing this beautiful prose back and forth. And it takes a bit of the shine off of the words, but...
Made me hate Shakespeare.
Yeah.
So we definitely picked two of the least faithful adaptations of the very, very many adaptations of Macbeth that have been put to screen. We picked two of the
Yeah. They're
weirdest ones.
kind of a good
for sure.
pairing because they're both two of the weirdest ones.
One is, of course, one of the best films of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other is Throne of Blood. No, it's really interesting. I think this is the first episode we've done where the highs and the lows are just so completely on the opposite side of the spectrum, because Throne of Blood is a masterclass in everything. Production, sound design, blocking, cinematography. It looks and sounds great. And the other one, maybe it was just the transfer I watched, but it was kind of barely put together. They made some choices that just don't do any service to the work or the movie or anything, and not great.
Baffling.
Again, it's a movie that there's no demand for, so you can't find it anywhere except it's on YouTube, full on YouTube, and nobody's bothering to take that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, check it out. It's up there.
Or don't. You're fine if you don't.
Yeah, don't.
Well, wait until you hear our final verdict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's true. Who knows how we're going to vote on this one?
I definitely didn't say in the group chat last night that I want that hour and 40 minutes back of my life. Something I never say after I finish watching a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was shorter than Macbeth, but somehow it was longer, and it took a physical, mental toll on me. But what are you gonna do? It's what if you want to put out the content, we got to put in the work,
That's the sacrifice
We're doing
we're
it for
willing
you.
to make.
dear listeners.
So, Throne of Blood. What's your guys' experience with this? Was this your first time watching it,
Yeah,
Vonn?
it was my first time watching it, and it's only my second Kurosawa movie. I've only seen Rashomon, and kind of one of my goals for the year is to knock a bunch of more of his movies off my list.
Little
because
Yeah.
little
he's great.
Kurosawa virgin over here.
Yeah, so it was my first
You're
time.
in
and
for a treat.
Yeah, we're gonna push your shit in this year. I think we'll do a few. I mean, he's the namesake of our podcast.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's and that movie is on our list. So I had a great time. I had my whole family watch it last night. I had some family visiting from out of town and just sat them all down and there's some complaints at first about they can't understand it and they don't want to read the movie. Some people didn't want to read the subtitles and stuff, but like by the end of it, everybody
bunch of
was into
plebs.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it starts off kind of slow, and then like once the tension starts really building up,
Yeah.
everybody was into it.
It's so engrossing and atmospheric. Yeah. If you give it a chance, you'll definitely get sucked in. And it's from Akira Kurosawa, the master. Should we jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. So
Quick before we jump into it, right off the bat.
Classic.
So
Drank.
I watched this movie with the commentary by one Michael Jack on Criterion Channel because I'd seen it before, 1.5 times before anyway. And I find with every Kurosawa movie that I watch, I immediately rewatch them. They're just that fucking good. Anyway, so I'm gonna be a little bit of a scholar on the on the film about this. He's a Japanese film expert, the guy who spoke about it.
Mitchell or Luke's wearing his little mortarboard with his tassel dangling down.
Yeah. I'm going to pretend to be really smart, but I'm just going to be regurgitating some of the shit that I learned from some really smart guy.
Perfect.
Good idea.
So this movie in Japanese is Kuma no Sujo, which translates literally to English as Spider's Web Castle,
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
which is a phrase we hear a lot. We don't call it Dunsinane in this movie. It's colloquially known as Spider's Web's Castle
Oh,
and the
It's a-
Spider's Web's Forest in this movie.
Yeah, it's like
huh.
the forest castle, but it has like people have the shorthand for it because
It's like a maze.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
This was Kurosawa's immediate follow-up to Seven Samurai,
Okay.
which was, obviously a huge, huge hit. And this was, I guess, some sort of passion project for him. And in 16 years, he made 15 films with Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah.
Like, this was a run.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And he was just cranking out these masterpieces, one after another, one per year, basically.
And they're
Yeah.
all classics.
Yeah, just hot as hell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mifune is the star of every Kurosawa movie I've seen. And I've seen a decent handful at this point.
So after they kind of had a bit of a falling out after a number of years, and Mifune went on to have still like quite a bit of success, but Kurosawa never really recovered after they went ways. Like, it seems like the two of them together, neither of them were as successful apart as they were together. They really had some magic going on there.
Lennon and
Yeah.
McCartney of filmmaking, really.
Yeah, but just like reading about like some of the stuff later on, I guess we'll talk about. But like some of the things that they made Mifune do for this, it's they put him
Yeah.
through the ringer. Like at one point, they're shooting a bunch of arrows at them. I'm like, well, how did they do that? And
Dude's
they
nuts.
they had live archers shooting arrows at him.
Holy crap.
And he was like gesturing with his body to show them which way he was going to go, so they could, shoot in the other
Okay.
direction, stuff like that. So
I just assumed they shot that in reverse. Like the arrows were in there and they yanked them out with string. I had no idea they were actually firing arrows at him.
well, if you're watching like Eric the Conqueror, where you're just seeing like an arrow go in, like that's how they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they had like Mifune moving around while this is happening, so you could tell that it wasn't fully, it wasn't in reverse because he was going forwards. And,
Not at all.
Yeah.
like amazing stuff.
Not bad.
Skill issue, Vikings, or Eric the Conqueror.
Pathetic.
You can't have like 12 extras throw axes with perfect accuracy in one take
This is our 10th Eric.
at your
Yeah.
lead actor.
Damn unions. Safety regulations.
So the film begins with wind, and it's a windy day. And that's like Kurosawa in all of his movies. The weather is such a fucking huge element of it. There's wind blowing everywhere. And we get a no style, which is Japanese theater. That's what this movie is based a lot upon, which is like before Kabuki, there's like the no style of theater. And
it's the oldest running theater tradition in Japan, and the plays are very long and drawn out, and everybody moves with very slow, purposeful movements, and all the sounds like the way they were singing in the background and the drums and all of that is in no theater. That's one of the hallmarks of it.
Yeah, it's almost like a
no
ritualistic ritualistic chant. It's kind of like a Greek chorus. It kind of bookends the movie, and it sort of describes what's going on. I think it says the same thing at the beginning and the end of the movie.
Yeah, it is a cyclical story. There's you're right about the Greek chorus thing that in this movie. At the start of each act, there's sort of a Greek chorus, whether it's soldiers
just
talking about what's going on.
Well, they give flavor to what's the effects of the main action that's going on. Then Mifune Washizu, who is Mifune's character in this.
Yeah, he's the Macbeth.
Yeah, something will happen. He'll go about some business, make some radical change to the political landscape or whatever, and then they'll cut to a group of soldiers just being like, "Wow, it sure is great that we moved to this bigger, better castle." Just kind of like talking about how people like him, or are they still on the same page as him, and all that stuff. So it definitely pulls in elements of that. But yeah, it starts with this kind of this song, and they're saying basically there used to be a mighty castle here. You're kind of shown this foggy, barren landscape, and they're just talking about how like back in the Halcyon days, there used to be a mighty castle here, but due to this vain asshole, it's no longer. It's just ashes. Just before we get too far into it, I guess they built the set and the castle and all this on Mount Fuji because it's traditionally foggy there, and it has lots of the wind, and just like created the atmosphere that Kurosawa wanted, which is pretty fucking gnarly. Yeah,
the exterior sets are pretty well all on Mount Fuji. And then the interiors, most of them are shot in the Toho studios in Tokyo.
Sure. Those guys are juggernauts at Toho.
Man, they put fucking money behind this movie, and every penny's on the screen.
This whole movie is just like drenched in fog. It's super atmospheric. It's just like every frame, there's fog everywhere. It's super creepy. It's a horror movie, really. Like it's got the atmosphere of a horror movie. I think it's the closest Kurosawa has come to a horror movie.
For sure.
Well, in a way, like it's not like it at all, but it kind of has that same element of something like an Amityville horror where somebody, like the protagonist is... something's happened and they start to lose their mind and they start to kind of like bring about their own destruction. They start to kind of like murder those closest to them because they are worried about something terrible happening.
Yeah, like most prophecies, Washizu finds himself in the center of a self-fulfilling prophecy where he brings about his own doom.
Well, there's that great line later where Miki, who's Washizu's buddy,
he's the Banquo.
Yeah, he's the Banquo in this one. His son is like, they're like talking about this prophecy, and he's like, just because some guy's following directions from an old hag in the woods doesn't mean a prophecy is coming true.
Just because some watery tart hurled a scimitar doesn't make you the king of England.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, like the whole Macbeth thing is like if I just like came across I don't know, some guy in an alley who's like, you're gonna be rich one day. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I immediately go and rob a bank. Like
yeah.
Like I don't know, like he didn't have to go and kill the king immediately. Like maybe he could have waited and he would have been the next in line or something like that.
Yeah,
but just so impatient and greedy.
Macbeth is not a smart man.
No,
he's not.
And behind him is a very bad woman.
Yeah,
she is. Everybody. So during Throne of Blood when we were watching with the family last night, everybody was just chirping his wife and saying how awful she is and how bad she is. I'm like, oh, yeah, but like. He doesn't have to listen to her.
Yeah.
He's the one who's like actually stabbing the king and like killing all these people. Like, sure, she's bad, but like nobody's viewing him as the bad guy, even though his hands are like covered in blood.
Yeah,
I'm the bad guy. Take a good look. Kind of similar. He goes down in a similar blaze of madness and glory. It's not glory, just like desperate madness.
Yeah, he goes out and they send the battalion of Caesarean-born fellows to just come and blow up Scarface's mansion.
Yeah.
That's the subtext.
Every FBI agent born of Caesarean.
This guy's got some crazy plot armor. What are we going to do to get him? Bring out the C-section squad. with their hollow point scalpel tip bullets.
Yeah, I think today we might even say it's debatable that a cesarean section doesn't count as being a man of woman born. I don't know.
Hey,
I think in the ancient language of Shakespeare, that means you squirted out of a pussy. If you're of woman born, you touched your mom's pussy.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
ancient England.
You
laws.
did once.
10
foot is generous,
womb,
buddy.
untimely ripped.
So you got the Japanese no chorus describing there's this great mighty warrior that once lived in this castle, and then you get a flashback. You're in the middle of this war.
Dude, it's an amazing flashback where they're showing the foggy hill. You have this close up on Washizu's gravestone, and then like there's a sweep of fog that goes past the screen, and then kind of once the fog is gone, there's a castle there. It was just such a seamless cut and transition. It looked so good.
They're in the middle of the war. There's 4 forts, I guess. There's like 5 forts, and there's the lords of these forts. This must be a Japanese province of some kind. There's a fort that's in rebellion. The Lord Inui is rebelling against this movie's, like, the main lord.
He's running the North Castle.
Suzuki is his name. He's kind of the King Duncan of this movie. He's like a shogun or something like it. I don't think they say shogun in the movie.
No, but yeah, he sits at the head of the forest castle, and that's kind of the seat of power for that region. And yeah, Inui from the North Castle is rebelling, and people are just coming in and be like, "Oh my lord, the fourth castle number 4 has fallen, or fort number 4 has fallen, fort number 3," and everybody's just getting worried and upset, and they have this plan to just like have everybody go into the forest, and they'll kind of fight them rather than go to a siege. They only have like 3 months worth of food, and they can't survive a siege. And then the tides turn. Then people from forts 1 and 2 start coming in and saying like, "You got to see this Washizu guy." Him and his buddy Miki, they're just chopping off heads like nobody's business. They're stopping the uprising pretty much single-handedly, or just by themselves is pretty much how it's made out to sound.
Yeah, you basically hear all the tides of battle just from this war council where these messengers keep coming in, and that happens repeatedly throughout the movie too. Like, there's no real big battle scenes or anything like that, but there is you hear about it.
Yeah,
you hear about it.
So
news trickles down.
Yeah, next to Duncan is another one of his right-hand men. That's Odagura. That's played by Takashi Shimura, who you also might remember from Akira and many of Kurosawa's other movies. That was like his other big leading man.
Not me.
Well, you're in for a treat.
I know, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that big of a part to play in this. He's kind of a cross between Macduff and Ross in this movie. Not so much Macduff, maybe more like Ross.
Yeah, he gets to sweep in here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not. Maybe I wasn't really paying attention, but it didn't really seem like there was like a strong Macduff character in this one. But
there really kind of isn't.
But
it's kind of excised.
That's fine because he's Macduff's like whatever. They still get to the same end. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, I guess they split his role a little between what's his name, Odabunga. I did write that guy's name down.
Odagura.
And Miki's son.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Miki's son. I like that guy. So we find out that the rebellion has stopped. They've won, and then they're happy back at Forest Castle. Everybody's happy, and then we cut to Washizu and Miki just riding through this forest, and it's just a labyrinth. They keep saying this. They keep saying it's a labyrinth. Don't take the trails because you'll get lost.
It's like a maze of a forest, the spider's web forest, they call it, right? And you
gotta...
see it a lot in the movie. Guys just, if you like seeing guys ride around through dense forest on horses, getting lost in fog, that's like half this movie.
It's so so claustrophobic. The way it's shot is you're shooting like Washizu and Miki through branches, and it adds the like sense of claustrophobia to it.
Yeah, and those guys, they had both been in, the actors were both in Seven Samurai as well, and they were avid horseback riders, and they became experts at horseback archery and horseback riding after
It looks
shooting
like
that
it.
movie. Yeah, and they're fucking riding those horses for real. There's no stunt guys on those horses. They're ripping.
And they're riding him hard. They're going fast and doing all sorts of turns.
Yeah,
and,
they're experts.
yeah, really cool. Mifune's doing like everything. The guy's just the GOAT. He's so good.
Yeah, he's strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a very
Strong as a
strong-
presence, strong physically. He's just an intimidating person.
One of the most animated faces you'll ever see. Like, you can read his facial expression from across a football field.
Yeah.
He's playing to the back the whole time, and it works so well.
Yeah, I can feel his eyes on me right now.
Yeah.
The dude, just
It's a pleasure to watch him enraged and screaming at people.
And boy, do you get a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just, losing it, blowing his top all over the place.
yeah. So they're lost in the woods, and that's when they come across a witch's hut, and it's lit very otherworldly. We get the witch. The witch is just one witch in this, and she's got like a spinning wheel or something.
Yeah, she's just spinning silk the whole time,
Spinning
and
silk,
looks
yeah.
really cool.
Her look is based on the No Maska Yamamba, which is the mountain witch. The mountain witch.
Okay.
It all indicates the cyclical nature of destiny.
Okay.
Interesting.
I was thinking her weaving that thread must represent something. I don't know, like a thread of fate she's weaving kind of thing.
Her words, they just kind of draw you in. She's just kind of doing a little sing-song thing. She's just kind of singing to herself. And you kind of become entranced because you have these wheels spinning constantly, and it's just kind of feeling like I'm falling under her spell, and I'm watching this movie like 7 years later in my like toasty warm living room.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you're these guys just riding up, or maybe they see this stuff all the time. I don't know. Like, maybe there's a strange hermit folk living in their ramshackle shacks.
I've seen a lot of old Japanese movies like this. That seems to be like a common thing. You encounter these witches in the hut, this is an ice witch over there. Oh, don't go over there. There's like the mountain witch over there.
Yeah.
Okay, Witch Path doesn't have an evil witch that's gonna.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Excuse me, are you an old hag or are you a forest spirit? I don't.
This is the Oni Baba. This is the Yama Baba. Like the.
No wonder they were so pissed off when they found her. There's probably like the fifth one they came across on their way home.
Fuck, another witch. All right, let's hear her out.
She lays it down. They like what they're hearing, or they're not sure yet. They're weird. I don't know. Like, it's weird when you encounter a all white lady in the woods and she starts knowing, and she
that
knows your
weird?
name. That's really weird.
Well, they take it in stride, but like immediately, like they're like, okay, and then Washizu just like pulls his bow out and he's like ready to just impale her immediately, which is what you do, I guess, if you're a great warrior.
Yeah.
You're just ready to kill instantly.
I always love that reaction to a ghost. It's like, I'm gonna fight you, ghost.
Well, did they do that in this? Well, did they shoot? Because she disappears at one point. She disappears at the end, but did he shoot her, or did she like become transparent when they were shooting her, or no?
She kind of lures them to her hut because they're in the woods and they hear this laughter ringing out in the trees, and they start just firing arrows into the trees, and I think it leads them to her hut. And I don't know if they both are posturing with each other. They're like, "Hey, we're warriors. Let's attack her. I'm not scared. Stab her with your spear." But I don't
scared.
think
I'm not scared. What are you, pussy?
yeah.
How come your armor's all piss stained now?
It's raining.
Yeah, so Washizu's ready to just kill her, and Miki stays his hand. He's like, well, let's listen to what she has to say, and then she starts to give him the prophecy, which is basically Washizu will first he's going to inherit the North Fort or the North Castle, and then he's going to inherit the Forest Castle, which is pretty good, and then Miki is supposed to inherit Fort 1. I think it was Fort number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Washizu's old castle. When Washizu gets promoted out, Miki will get his old castle. But then Miki's son will inherit the Forest Castle after Washizu dies.
Yeah.
Which is the main boss castle.
That's
All
the
these
big.
details are a little bit confusing.
You will not get these castle names
That's
straight.
between Macbeth's names, like Shakespeare's names, and
Yeah.
the Japanese names. I'm like, what? Wait, look, I can't keep this straight a little bit.
yeah.
But I know where it's going.
Yeah, thank God it mostly focuses on like
Yeah.
3 characters
Yeah.
that are like actually important to remember the names
Miki
of.
and Washizu are going to get promoted.
And Lady Macbeth and Lady Washizu are a gimme because they're just Macbeth with Lady in front of them, so you can remember their names. But
She's not referred to as Lady Washizu in this
She's
movie either. She's got a name, Adaji.
Adaji?
And
Yeah.
I guess in Japan they don't refer to married women that way or whatever.
Okay.
They use their given name.
She is this piece's Lady Macbeth, but and the prophecy that this witch gives is basically the exact Macbeth prophecy.
Yeah, it's enough to know that both of their stars are on the rise, but there's some base in Macbeth. Banquo was promised that his son, like, he'll be heir to a throne of king. So it's enough to kind of sow some seeds of distrust in the back of Washizu's mind, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be king, but she said I'm not going to be king for very long, and my buddy's kid is going to be king. So, that's fine. But I'm a little untrustworthy, or I'm not trusting this guy that much."
Typical women. Trying to play best buddies against each other. Right?
Figures.
Am I right?
guys?
Welcome back to the Joe Rogan podcast.
So they get the prophecy, and then she stands up and she kind of like does like this, and like takes her robe off and disappears. And
Yeah.
again,
flies
a
off
really
into
great
the
little
air.
shot. Like, it's a cool effect.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of skulls, piles of skulls around there too.
They got to call somebody about that.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Just big piles of bones. And I guess that must be a witch's food. I don't know.
Just munching skulls.
She's married to an ogre.
But yeah, they get out of the woods, and as creeped out as they were in the woods, now they're in the light of day. They're starting to laugh about it a little, and they're like, "A prophecy! Imagine that! That ghostly woman in the woods. She's a joker.
Yeah.
Don't listen to her."
But it does take forever for them to get out of the woods. Once again, like I counted like 13 or 14 takes of them like riding up to the camera through the fog, like they come out of the fog, and then they ride back out. And then some takes you see them like in the distance in the fog just a little bit, and then they ride back toward the camera again. You can see them going in circles, which is intentional. I guess.
Super disorienting forest. This is one of the all-time great creepy movie forests, I think.
It's good. It's awesome. And a thing they do a few times in this movie that just looks so cool is, they'll use it in the like people like appearing and disappearing just through either like total blackness or the fog, and it's just a really cool effect. And it's simple. It's just using just light. You're coming into the light and you're going away from the light, but it looks so cool and cinematic.
It's like Homer Simpson coming through the hedge maze on Netflix.
Exactly. I didn't realize that movie was inspired from The Simpsons.
In my mind, everything is. We're so fucking poisoned by The Simpsons.
Simpsons did it.
Yesterday at a kid's birthday party, I met a guy, and I just saw him from like across the room, and he had a tattoo on his hand, and it was that dignity drawing that Kirk Van Houten does. And I just like pointed to him, I'm like, "Dignity!" And he's like, "Nobody gets that." I'm like, "We're fucking
Kindred spirit.
mental, like right away. We're just friends." He had a couple other really good ones too. He's like, "I got a bunch of Simpsons tattoos. Check them out."
That's dedication.
That's just how he lures you in.
He was a witch, turned out.
Gave you a prophecy.
So Miko and Washizu make it back to Suzuki, which is their lord, and he promotes them, just like the witch said that he would.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're not laughing about the prophecies as much as they used to, because the first part's coming true.
It came true exactly as the witch predicted.
Yeah, and you can see the unease on Toshiro Mifune's face. Yeah, he's kind of canning it and trying to can it, but you can also just see a little bit of horror dawning across his face. He goes a little paler. You get a good look at their Sashimono banners here as well. Like Washizu's is Centipede. I don't know if you guys noticed, and Miki's is a little bunny wabbit.
Oh, I didn't notice Miki's, but I saw the centipede a lot.
Yeah.
That's
What would your
adorable.
guys' Sashimono banners be?
Oh, I think like a sloth. Probably. If I'm being honest.
And just like a little cat on its back, just waiting for its belly to be scratched.
I'm thinking like a pile of noodles, not on a plate or in a bowl, just kind of on the ground.
Oh, that's good.
So that's the end of the first act, basically. You're there, right?
It follows the same 5-act structure.
It fades to black.
Oh.
At the end of every, that's the only time it fades to black. You get a lot of different swipes and
Lots
stuff.
of
Otherwise,
swipes and wipes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Swipes, whatever gets your butt clean at the end of the day.
Yeah. So that's the end. Pretty good so far. I'm interested.
The prophecy came true. Washizu has the North Castle now, and this is one of those Greek chorus moments where you get Washizu's men in the courtyard saying, "Wow, it sure is great to now be in the North Castle. We've upgraded from the first castle. This place is nice. There's sunshine. There's a field.
We're safer here.
That old place was a
figure.
shithole.
Yeah.
This place
Nothing
is nice.
bad could possibly happen to us now. And this is where we meet Lady Asagi Washizu.
She is she's a creepy presence. She's as creepy as the witch. She's like almost like a doll. Like
She's like a ghost. She's like all in white, and she has
Yeah.
she has her makeup all done where it's all white, and she has her little eyebrows painted high up, and the way she moves around, she's got some noisy ass pants or
Yeah.
dressings
silky
and
dress.
yeah.
yeah, she makes a swiping sound everywhere she goes. She's got the beauty standards were different back then. She's got her teeth blackened with lacquer, so every time you see her open her mouth, it's just like this black.
That means you're a married woman in those days.
Okay.
So she's taken, fellas.
Okay.
All right, back off. She's played by Isuzu Yamada, who is like one of the great Japanese actresses of her time. I think, for my money, the best performance in the movie. She's so fucking good in this.
She's pretty great.
She's a lot more subtle than Mifune
Oh,
in any
yeah,
case. But Kurosawa directed her not to blink.
Oh.
I noticed
the
that.
makeup she's wearing, this is interesting, is based on the No Shakumi mask, which is of a woman who's no longer young and about to go mad.
Oh,
Interesting.
Very fitting.
Yes.
A little foreshadowing to the native Japanese viewer that we didn't pick up on, or I didn't anyway.
Yeah.
But
And the way that she moves, like she has very slow, deliberate movements. That is how people move, like in a no play. So
very ceremonial kind of movements.
yeah, and I don't know. She's just you get bad vibes from her immediately, and just the way she kind of like just slowly creeps around just gives me the willies. It was really effective.
Yeah, she's whispering sweet nothings into Washizu's ear. She's like, well, if you were really such a great lord, maybe you would want the forest castle right away. You'd want to get you wouldn't be satisfied with the north castle.
Yeah, she's talking about how like Miki's gonna betray him and all that, and like he needs to Washizu's just like, this is pretty nice. I'm content here. Suzuki, he was kind enough to promote me. He's not being overlooked for promotions. He's being like kind of paid his dues, and he could be happy there.
Yeah.
And she's not going to allow that to happen at all. She's just harping on him all the time. Is he dead yet? Did you kill Suzuki yet? You should really kill
Yeah.
Suzuki. When am I going to get a bigger castle?
Yeah. What a nag.
I'd kill him too if I had to listen to that every day. She
Kill
just never
myself.
lets up.
Yeah, he says he only wants peace, and then she's convincing him that, well, if you want peace, you're going to have to kill this guy and that guy, because they'll probably betray you, so...
Yeah, and you gotta kill Miki because the Miki will inherit the earth.
Nah.
So she's just continuously dribbling poison in his ear, and he's kind of coming around to it, and he's like, you know what, maybe I do deserve to be lord of this realm and all that. And then what happens? They find out that Suzuki is on kind of like an impromptu hunting trip, like nobody really knew was happening, and he needs to kind of stay there for the night. He needs to come and he's going to go spend the night there. So
Did I crash on your couch, man?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't deny the lord of the...
Quick, clean up all the empty pizza boxes.
Yeah. Clean up
My
that
boss is
bloodstain.
coming over.
and like any gracious host would, they give him the bloodstained room.
Yeah.
There's this scene with like a couple of servants who are like, yeah, the lord's gonna stay here. Too bad about those bloodstains. Oh, that's traitor's blood. It's the old, like the guy who used to own it. He was murdered there, I guess.
Okay, yeah, I kind of missed whose blood that was.
Yeah.
I think it was the guy who initially had the revolt.
And he must have committed seppuku there.
That
was
I think
the
he
idea.
was slaughtered like a dog, they say. The servants go in there to clean it, and they're like, the entire corner of this room is drenched in dried blood, and they're like, yeah, a traitor was slaughtered like a dog here. That's why it's like this.
That's a dog slaughtering mess.
Treacherous slime.
The Lord comes in, Suzuki comes in, and he says, well, apparently this whole thing is a ruse. This whole hunting trip, he doesn't really care about hunting whatever they're doing. It's actually a way that they can get the drop on Inui, who is another lord.
One of the rebels.
Yeah, and so he kind of wants to take him by surprise. So Washizu is kind of given this information, and he's still kind of on the fence at this point, right? Like, I don't think he's
Yeah.
fully committed to murdering him, but...
Well, he thinks it's a great honor because Suzuki says, this is what's going to happen. We're attacking Inui. You're going to lead the attack, and Miki is going to guard my castle. And Washizu thinks this is great. He's like, oh, I get to lead the attack? The boss must really like me. But then, of course, he's getting whispered into his ear from his wife saying, no, idiot.
Aren't you a man?
You're going to get an arrow in the back.
Yeah, she's basically like, you're going to die in battle, and then Miki's going to inherit this castle, and then he's going to be, like, did you forget about the second part, like the last part of the prophecy? Then his son's going to take the castle. Like,
yeah.
You got to do it. Like, this king, or this lord has just fallen into your lap, and here's a sword to kill him with, or here's a spear to kill him with.
Yeah, and it's all, she's so Machiavellian that it's all part of the prophecy where she's like, she assumes that because Miki's son is supposed to inherit the forest castle, that he's going to be as backstabbing as they are, and, you know.
But really, like, Washizu and Miki they're like so happy with their current position, and they're like buddies, and neither of them wants to hurt anybody, and like, yeah,
They're just a couple of sweeties.
yeah, they just like they'll go fight when they have to, but they don't want to fight amongst each other.
Yeah. Well, the whole Macbeth story is about how ambition poisons everything or whatever, and greed
And that really comes across
Why
here.
I have no ambition.
yeah, me neither.
I learned my lesson.
And that's why my banner is a sloth.
So Adachi, she hatches the plan to drug the king's guards.
Yeah.
She poisons their sake so that they're asleep or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
And there's such a cool shot here where she goes to get the poison. She just shuffles away like shh, 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 and she just goes through this completely blackened doorway, and she just is totally enveloped by the shadow.
Yes.
But you can still hear her
Yeah.
pants moving. And then she like comes back out with a big old bottle of poison that she just has laying around, probably under her sink or something like that. That's where I keep all my poisons.
Yeah. Super atmospheric.
Poison's a woman's weapon.
That's
What they say.
That's especially in Shakespeare time and Game of Thrones.
I say it all the time. My wife's poisoning me now.
Slowly but surely.
Well, it's because you got to kill your boss.
Kill your boss, Luke. Kill your boss. So this is where we get a rare close-up of Toshiro Mifune as Asahi passes him the guard's spear for him to do the evil deed.
Yeah.
Almost in every shot in this movie, it's kind of middle distance on our Washizu, and we really get a look at his face to see all the gears turning in his head. He's like, am I really going to live out the American dream and kill my boss?
Moment of truth. There's like crows flying around outside. They're
bad
cawing.
omen.
Yeah, Washizu's men are like, crows, that's a bad omen. And then, his wife is like, oh, crow cawing, that's a great omen. Yeah, that means you should kill your boss.
Well, with her, it's such like, oh, a wind from the west. Oh, maybe you should go kill your boss. I heard a dog last night. I think that means you should go kill your boss.
Washizu's like, you're making a lot of sense to me right now.
I'm gonna go kill my boss. And so he takes the spear and he goes off screen for a little bit, and Lady Asahi just kind of like moves around. The music's swelling, and she's just kind of like going into a temporary madness or something like that. And then Washizu comes back, and his spear is covered in blood. His hands are covered in blood. You don't see the deed, but you know that.
I love this.
It's so
I
good.
love
It's so
this
tastefully
so
done.
much.
Just
the way you don't see it.
Just like at the beginning, how you don't see the battle scene, you just see the war council, and you're getting the news that it's coming. And this is like kind of the same as that. You don't actually see the evil deed transpiring. You just see the before and the after.
Because the act doesn't
much
matter.
more
It's the
evocative.
repercussions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Like, you don't need to see it. Like,
Yeah, no.
it's the
Yeah.
people. It's like the little small talk and like the machinations and all that. That's the interesting part, not the big epic battle. And you do get like a lot of extras riding horses and running around later on, but like all that stuff, it's secondary. What matters is the plotting and the scheming.
Yeah, the deed is done.
Yeah.
Washizu has a haunted look about him.
They wash off the blood. They've got blood all over both their hands. I think Mifune's overdoing it just a tad on the acting in some of these scenes.
You don't say. He's playing big.
Yeah. He's another one of those big, more impressionistic actors. Like in a modern sense, you'd have like a Nicolas Cage or whatever. Like he's not a low key naturalistic performer like a Marlon Brando or whatever. Like
Yeah, not subtlety isn't really in his repertoire that much. Although like he's has this amazing control over his body and his face. Like, he can pull out all sorts of expressions.
For sure.
He is very big. And
He can, show a lot under the surface for sure. But he goes big when he goes big, for sure.
It's very theatrical. It really pops in contrast to this movie in general that's just, like, very subdued and quiet and atmospheric, and then you just got this raging lunatic that pops up every now and then.
Asajj is so, like, still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She barely moves.
It's fucking chilling.
She's like a doll.
Yeah, he's doing and Kurosawa directed Mifune to do the Haita mask, which is another no mask. Like, these are all over this movie if you know to look for them. But it's like kind of like the ancient warrior samurai mask, one who's touched by madness or like like pure berserker rage.
I can picture those samurai masks with the enraged, exaggerated face.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So the deed has been done. The Lord, the Suzuki, has been killed, and his bodyguards, I think it was his bodyguards, they fled the scene, and we see Washizu and like a couple of his buddies just chasing them down. Again, I think there's some more forest riding here, but they're on their way to raise the alarm to Miki at the forest castle to basically say that Washizu has betrayed his liege lord, and we need to get rid of this guy.
Yeah, Washizu did frame the guard and killed him in front of everybody.
Yeah, just
to be
instantly.
like, you son of a bitch, before the guy even has a chance to plead innocent. That's very much part of the Macbeth.
This is not suspicious at all. I'm going to kill you instantly before you can object.
Yeah. I was just so blinded with rage over him killing my lord. I had to kill him.
There's something like a little bit...
Nobody's buying it, really.
No, they're like, but we're in his castle and surrounded by his men, so I guess we'll listen to him.
Yeah.
But there's a weird thing here where they like Washizu and Asajj didn't really talk it through, I don't think. And she just immediately like runs out and starts being like, murder, there's been a murder, and like raises the alarm, and Washizu's like in the middle of washing the blood off of his hands, and he doesn't even like get it all off, and he's very good at improvising. Mm-hmm. He's like, was he in the Groundlings?
And
UCB.
They didn't really set the stage as much as like
Could you imagine being in an improv group with like a shogun lord? Just the most serious, grave person ever.
Yeah. Just like, angrily yelling at you.
So my mother-in-law's coming over. We must kill her at once.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Yes, and we will kill her.
One of the big no-nos in improv is you never want to pull out a gun because you don't really go higher from that. But like every single scene you're doing with him, he's just like sword drawn and just like disembowel somebody immediately.
Or committing seppuku. This is an incredible shame.
I'm late for dinner today, and the reason is too shameful.
Yeah. All his skits end the same way, and it's great.
Humorless people in Edo, Japan.
Yeah, unless they're just laughing madly about something like, I'll never be killed.
Well, all the people in all the higher up people they're all serious as a heart attack, but all the people, like whenever you cut to the lowly people or like the soldiers just talking about things, they're having a great time. They're just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And they're having a laugh and they're doing that. They're
living their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Blue collar guys.
So Washizu killed the Lord, and now he goes to the forest castle. He caught the dudes, and he killed them. There's nobody to blow up his spot.
Well, they're banging on the castle door, and Miki's not letting them in.
That's right.
And then they just start shooting arrows at them.
Yeah.
And so Washizu, Mifune has a really good look. Like, he's kind of not really sure what to make of this. Yeah. Because Miki was there for the prophecy. He knows, he kind of knows that this is pretty suspicious. And after Miki's started like peppering them with arrows, he's like, let's just go see what Miki has to say about this.
It's extremely tense, actually. It's a gamble that Washizu's taking, where he's like, okay, I got to approach the forest castle. Miki's in there. I don't know where his loyalties lie. He could kill me. So I'm going to bring the Lord's body and say, hey, I'm here with the Lord's body. You know, we're coming in for the funeral. And him and his party are slowly approaching the castle. And it's just super tense because you don't know if he's about to get arrows rained down on him. Even though you know Macbeth, the story. It's a super tense moment. He's the one that approached the door, right? The son of Suzuki, I think, saying, "Hey, they killed my dad. They killed my dad."
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they get away.
As
Yes.
it turns out, from Miki's perspective, Miki's like, he does end up letting Washizu in. He doesn't rain arrows down on him. And to Miki, it's like, it doesn't really matter if Washizu killed the Lord or not, because now that the Lord is dead, Inui's going to go into rebellion, and we're going to need a strong leader in Forest Castle to put down the rebellion. So self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing again.
He looks so annoyed when he opens the door.
Yeah.
And it's an electoral system by the lords, so they voted to make Washizu the High Lord or whatever, the king.
Miki's like, you got my vote. He doesn't seem enthusiastic about it, but yeah, he's like...
That basically happens off screen for the most part.
Yeah. Here's a little realpolitik. I don't necessarily believe you or like you, but there's going to be a rebellion because of this, and we're going to need you in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
That's the end of Act 2.
Yeah. So they bring as they're bringing the Suzuki's corpse in, his pallbearers. They're wearing hot pants, very very short shorts, and they kind of go past all these.
Who wears short shorts?
It's a day at the beach.
I want those guys at my carrying.
They
me at my
have
funeral.
juicy asses? I didn't even notice.
I don't know if they have juicy asses. They just they look pantless. They have some juicy thighs.
There's
I have to
definitely
go back
thigh.
and watch this for like the fourth time.
If I'm at KFC getting a 2-piece, I want some of those thighs.
I definitally clocked that. I was like, those are
With two
unusually
thighs
short
and two
pants.
breasts.
This is supposed to be solemn occasion.
And we find out that
Put some pants on.
so yeah, that's the end of Act 2.
Right, we get another chorus of the guards. They're standing in a watchtower on Mount Fuji. It's a beautiful looking shot. Mm-hmm. You can see the whole panorama around it, and it's foggy and windy and everything, like all the scenes in this movie. They're saying the North Garrison looks small, but man's fortunes can always be changed. And a blessing it would be on House Washizu if he had an heir.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Because as of right now, if Washizu gets offed, then who's it going to go to?
Yeah, he's pretty
And it would go to Miki.
Yeah.
Yeah, he the witch's prophecy was that Miki's son would inherit the throne, the main Forest Castle throne after Washizu dies. And Washizu at this point is like super grateful to Miki because Miki gave him his vote and this feudal lord thing to make him the lord of Forest Castle. But then you got the Lady Macbeth whispering the sweet poisons into his ear again.
Well, yeah.
Washizu offers to make Miki's son his heir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Asaji says she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a deviation from
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Shakespeare.
It changes everything. Washizu was ready to go along with this prophecy, but now he's got a kid on the way, it sounds like, so...
He's going to try to change fate.
Yeah.
We don't know if Asaji's lying or anything. Nothing about her cadence or her facial expression gives anything away.
Yeah.
She's completely unreadable.
That was my first instinct, was like, she's totally manipulating him to make him do her bidding.
She's dropping the nuclear option where it's like, oh, I'm pregnant?
Yeah. You might have an heir.
Yeah, and that changes them. Then we go to Fort 1, and something's spooking the horses real good. They're all bucking and jumping around, and the handlers are saying that, oh, here's another bad omen. The horses aren't good. They've never seen them like this, and maybe Mickey shouldn't go down to Forest Castle.
Just a note on that, like Kurosawa used multiple cameras on a lot of these shots, and you can see it in all these action scenes. So it's simultaneously shooting with multiple cameras, which is pretty unique for the time.
Yeah.
And even for now. As those horses are going crazy, one of them actually runs over an extra. That's an accident. You can see the guy just get fucking trampled by the horse. That's left into the final cut of the movie because it looks great, but that's what happens when you have lots of cameras capturing all this action.
Yeah,
And
that's
one of the other main reasons he uses the multiple camera technique, according to the commentary that I heard anyway, is it helps the actors not just focus in on one camera and act to a camera.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you a little bit more of a natural view of what people are going to look like because they're looking as lost and out of sorts and out of place as they should be.
Oh, they're fully in the world.
That's a nice little directorial trick compared to like a Friedkin, I'm going to break your back to make this look real or something.
No, Kurosawa broke people's backs. It just wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
That guy got trampled.
Yeah, accidents happen. Sacrifices must be made.
For art.
They're like
I
this.
mean, they covered him in carrots. I don't know why that horse came after you.
It drives horses wild.
Squeezing carrot juice on his
Sorry
costume.
about that.
I've been eating hay for a month. I smell a carrot, I go wild.
The guy had a head shaped exactly like an apple. The horse went crazy, just tried to
Yeah.
bite his head off.
They auditioned like 5,000 people for the role until old Applehead came in and Kurosawa said, "You're perfect."
He's worse than any chimp.
So while the horses were going all wild, Mickey and his son, they're having a little conversation, and Mickey's like, "I don't know, like, let's not go. This guy sucks. He's I don't trust him." And Mickey's like, "No, but you're gonna be king." He's like, "Yeah, just because he's listening to like some watery tart in the forest."
Yeah. Miki's son is like, look, I don't buy this prophecy stuff. This is lunacy. But like, you're my dad, and I honor you, and all that.
Yeah, and so they go riding off. Then Mickey's house, or a horse, comes back, and it's riderless, and we don't really know what that means. We can kind of, surmise like a thing or two. Maybe Mickey's been killed or something, but we don't know. We don't know. And then we cut to banquet at Washizu's place.
Yeah. Again, you don't see the vile deed. You don't actually see Miki be assassinated. It's
So
just
much
like-
more chilling,
Yeah.
as will contrast with the next movie,
Where you see
which
everything.
shows everything and you feel nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah. You feel bored.
very much so. Ugh.
Yeah, there's an old man performing a no-style dance performance at this banquet. And
Yeah.
the song is like weirdly descriptive about what's going on in the plot. Mm-hmm. And Washizu's just getting more and more annoyed.
Two lords were riding their horses one day, and a witch told them that one will be king.
He's just getting more and more angry. Washizu definitely killed King. He is a very bad guy.
Yeah, he's not impressed by the performance. He yells at the old man.
Yeah, finally he's like,
stop! He's like, sit your $5 ass down before I make change.
So,
The old man's like,
so rude. and then everybody just sits in the most uncomfortable silence.
But both of these movies have the most awkward dinners of all time. Macbeth in general just has the most awkward dinner scene.
I think both movies did that really well. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like in the play, when the ghost of his Macbeth or Washizu's best friend comes back and kind of haunts them during dinner, they just really just go off, go off, and everybody is just
Oh, yeah.
struggling to get their rice down their throats so they can leave and not
Yeah.
be rude about it.
And it's so damning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Mifune is sitting in his ceremonial seat here. He's looking around like a wild man. There's 2 empty spots where the lords are supposed to be sitting. This is
Or
like
Miki.
Yeah.
There's
Miki
a
and
little
his-
place setting. There's a bowl of rice and everything, and it's like empty. And man, I'd feel bad. I just
Yeah.
killed my best friend, and there's this empty seat.
Very
It'd
cool.
be like me sitting here at the High and Low Studios, and there's Mitchell's
at
empty
him.
chair and microphone.
Vonn starts singing about the murder of a podcaster, and you're like, shut up already.
It's just why do you have to do it when you know that he's expected to be at a place where everybody you know is going to be there? It's just the worst timing.
Yeah.
Like, can't you just do it, just kind of like wait until he's off hunting some weekend or something like that? But it's like
Yeah, he took a slip and fell. Nope, no such luck.
a tactical blunder.
It's a really cool shot because you've got the paranoid Washizu, Mifune. He's like looking over. The camera pans over to the empty seat. Then it pans away as he looks away. Then it pans back, and there's Miki's ghost sitting there. And,
Yeah,
he freaks out.
Mifune's, his gaze kind of snaps back toward the place setting, and then you see the camera just move right back, and it's all in one continuous shot. There's that ghost of Miki sitting there. It's portrayed as Shujo, which is another
okay.
no mask, who is a sea sprite with a fondness for alcohol,
Okay, interesting.
which has, I guess, some relevance to the scene because people are getting fucking drunk.
Oh, that's
Most notably Washizu.
yeah. That's the excuse Asaji makes for everybody. He's like, oh, he's drunk again, and while this whole time, Washizu is kind of like losing his mind, she's just
Yeah.
blank, like a great poker face. You can't read her expression at all.
it really adds to the awkwardness of the dinner in both these movies when the Macbeth character just freaks out so hard, and then the Lady Macbeth character is like, don't mind him, he's just a little out of sorts, and let's keep eating. Yeah. Everyone's just kind of, I don't know.
We've all been at, like, dinner parties or, like, parties like that where somebody's significant others apologizing for their drunk, psychotic...
Don't
like,
mind
I
that
hope
guy.
she breaks up with that guy. He doesn't bring him back here.
Man,
He got the spicy chicken tenders earlier, and his tummy's kind of bugging him.
that's why he's swiping it wildly at the air with his katana sword.
To be fair, like, it was an awkward dinner party before the ghost even showed up. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's just sitting there, and they're trying to enjoy this show, and Buddy's getting heckled, and
Yeah. There's a few scenes where Washizu is in a room with all his men, and there's just a bunch of men sitting in there, but like everybody's silent. He'll be the only one talking, and it just adds to the oppressiveness of the movie and the sense of isolation that you get with Washizu or Macbeth character when there's a room full of people in silence and he's like freaking out or whatever. There's a couple moments like that.
No,
Yeah,
they
that's
use
part of how he shoots the movie, Kurosawa, how he shoots it with the telephoto lens. It kind of cuts out the sides and it kind of focuses in on that particular spot, and it makes it feel a little bit more claustrophobic than it ought to.
Yeah.
Even in these large rooms with relatively high ceilings, you feel like you're being crushed by
Yeah.
the weight of all of it.
Yeah.
Whether you're indoors or outdoors, all of it it's intense. Yeah.
This movie has a different aspect ratio than you might be used to. It's got like the sides cut off, and it fills the frame from top to bottom instead of your normal widescreen. And yeah, everything just really adds to the claustrophobia. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go back and check, but in my mind's eye, I remember Seven Samurai having a really big widescreen
Yeah.
format. But maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Been a
But,
few years for me.
but that's
in my
generally
mind's
like,
eye, I picture it like the Lawrence Arabia.
yeah, definitely.
The huge
Well, that's what a lot of,
wide vistas. Yeah.
like when I think of Kurosawa, that's what I think of a lot of time is just like these big cinematic scenic shots. But this movie is kind of an anomaly in a couple of ways, in that it's like his horror movie and it's a different aspect ratio, and it's a little different than your average Kurosawa movie.
Yeah. Robert Eggers used that kind of technique on The Lighthouse most recently.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think even in that movie, it really highlights it at the start. It like, you see the edges kind of go in on the frame.
I think
And
there's
it
a
just
little
feels
blurb,
like
too.
you feels like you're in the lighthouse. It just kind of crushes the sides, and you're
The
being
walls are
smushed into
closing
this
in.
like skinny but tall building where it's just like
That's genius.
madness is inescapable. Like you can't hide in any corner. There's nowhere to go.
No, and that's interesting that you say that, because in all of the rooms here, I'm sure that I don't know if that was like the decor of the time, but there is nowhere to hide in any of the rooms. Everything is very sparsely
Bare.
decorated.
Totally
Yeah.
bare, which I guess is pretty period accurate.
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
I mean, fair enough, but it makes it feel like you are completely open to everybody around you.
This
Yeah.
adapts it. This adaptation is so fucking good. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much. It works so good on so many levels. I just can't get over
And
it.
it makes some changes and deviates and here or there, but like, that's so secondary. He wasn't trying to make a faithful adaptation. There's just very interesting plots and themes throughout it, and that's what he wanted to explore. And he did such a good job doing it.
Oh yeah, he made the material his own compared to what Geoffrey Wright was trying to do. I don't know. They tried to do too literal of a thing.
It was a failure.
He was trying to have his cake and eat it too, because he wanted to make it updated and cool and really edgy. But he also wanted to keep it as similar as possible, and he made changes that weren't necessary, didn't add to it.
Yeah.
It was kind of a failure across the board, but you'll hear all about that in a little bit.
Not
So
to
yeah,
blow our load early.
Washizu still losing his mind. He sees the ghost. He's attacking it with the sword. Then everybody eventually just leaves.
Yeah.
He basically completely admits guilt. He's like, "I killed you. I'll kill you again, you son of a bitch, Miki. I'll kill
Yeah.
you." And everyone's like, "Did he kill him?"
Yeah.
I thought that he just was running late, but yeah.
Yeah, they're just gone.
Lady Asaji stands up. She's like, "Get basically she's like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
Leave the rice bowls. Just, you don't need to eat. Just get the fuck out. I don't care what order you leave in. Just leave. And everybody's so happy to oblige. They're like, okay, finally.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah, we were pretty obligated to be here, but
Train wreck. I didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. Then they.
That's when
she's telling him off. She's like, "You're scared of a ghost? Come on, what kind of great lord are you?"
Get your shit
And
together, man.
Like she turns around and gasps, and one of Shizu's men has entered the hall. This is where we realize that Miki has been assassinated.
yeah, he's got a basket,
with his head, with Mickey's head in it.
presumably. I
That's
don't
what-
think we see the head.
We don't see it, but he told us that there was that. And
There's a head in
Yeah.
this basket.
okay, I'll take your word for
Yeah.
it.
Ooh, a head bag.
But it's only that was only part of the orders. Adachi's like, okay, but where's Miki's son's head? Because that was the prophecy. Miki's son is gonna inherit the throne. Like, it's good that Miki's dead, but
He's like, you goddamn fool. That
should've
was the
said-
most important thing is you killed the son. Kill him first.
He should have sent 2 people.
Yeah. In the other one, he sends 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Wishizu just kills the assassin. And you get a kind of a long static shot where he's been stabbed in the gut and he's squirming violently
it's
on
not
the
a
floor.
quick death.
No, you can. There's so many squelching blood sound effects and gurgling, and
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
it's pretty brutal. for
With
this
Shizu's
movie.
backing away against the wall, he's like kind of horrified or fascinated by what he's done. It's a slow, painful death.
Well, you gotta wonder,
He's
like,
really the cheese is really slipping off his cracker by this point.
aside from killing like Suzuki and this guy, like he's probably never killed anybody in cold blood. Like that's probably always been in the heat of battle and stuff. And so
Yeah.
when that's going on, you don't really see the effects of what you've done. But now he's really up close and personal
But
to
he
murder.
killed Suzuki,
He killed, yeah. Aside from him
which
and Suzuki,
also fucked him up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very much so.
He was a great honorable warrior. Now he's kind of an assassin and a sneak thief.
Got a little bit of the PTSD. That's fade to black again. End of Act 3. So we get the chorus once again.
They're saying this place, they're shit talking the castle. They're like, oh, it turns out the foundations were always rotten.
Yeah.
This place isn't very good. Everybody is starting to flee. Like they're telling us that the other forts aren't really digging Washizu murdering everybody. And the one guy has this great line where it's like, well, even the rats are gone. Well, don't you know,
Yeah.
like rats always flee a building just before it burns.
Even the weather's turned against them. There's just howling winds now, and everything has just gotten as atmospheric as everything was before. It's gotten way creepier and more hostile in the atmosphere.
Kind of made me think of Alberta. The rats fled here a long time ago. Maybe we should have listened.
Yeah,
The rats know.
it was an omen. No, it's a good omen. It's a good
Everyone's like, hey, there's no rats here. I'm like,
yeah.
are they on to something?
It's open to interpretation.
For our
this omen.
non-Albertan listeners, supposedly Alberta's the only place in the world that doesn't have rats. I've never seen one here.
I've never seen one here, and I've
Yeah.
seen rats in a lot of other places.
Seen them everywhere else I've been.
It makes the news when rats are found at like a dump here or something.
Yeah.
Remember there was rats in like a Red Deer garbage dump or something a few years ago, and it made the news.
Not even rats want to live here. It's just like Dunsinane. So this is where we learn that Wishizu's heir is stillborn.
yeah.
Adachi's not too happy, not doing too
Adachi,
good.
She really was pregnant. It wasn't a ruse, and it didn't pan out. She miscarries, and her health is failing now. Shizu wants to go see her, but the maid, one of Adachi's maids, kind of prostrates herself in front of him to block his path.
Yeah, she's like, you kind of harsh everybody's buzz and whenever you come into any room. Maybe you should just leave her alone.
Can you just not?
Yeah, she needs a little time right now.
Her doula just wasn't having it.
Your wide-eyed animated face just kind of will worsen her condition.
Yeah, we don't need you screaming about ghosts and running around.
So this is where he shouts and he laments to his lord's helmet and sword. And that's pretty much, I think, where you would get the tomorrow creeps at this petty pace from day-to-day speech.
That
Oh,
that
okay.
happens after Lady Macbeth dies, but that doesn't really
that's
happen
after.
in this.
Yeah, I know.
Her fate is unclear, but basically, like after something terrible happens to his wife, then he's like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna just watch the world burn, and he does what anybody would do, and that's you go find the one particular forest witch that gives you the information that you want to hear.
Yeah, and he knows that Inui's coalition are coming to the castle.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he rides out anyway
He's avoiding all.
in the rain, and it's fucking pouring rain, and it looks awesome, and it looks very unpleasant to be outside.
Again, a mirror of the scene earlier where he goes to meet the witch, because there was like a huge downpour then too, and he was like, I've never seen it downpour like this. He's going out to see the witch again, and it's the same deal, a huge downpour. He's in the labyrinthian forest.
We see him. He's saying, "Come forth, evil spirit! Come forth!" He's riding around and he's calling her evil spirit. It's like that's a desperate person.
Yeah.
Like if you're so desperate that your last savior, your last hope is to actually like beg an evil spirit that you recognize as evil to help you.
Yeah.
Like, I sold my soul.
Y'all got any more of those prophecies that might help me out of this bind?
Yeah.
A true fool.
There's an amazing shot here that has so much depth where it's like branches in the foreground, Washizu in the midground riding around like looking for the spirit, and then in the background the witch just kind of runs across the frame. And you can like see it all just through an opening in the branches, and it's like
Made the arms the hairs of my arms stood up when she ran across the frame. I was like, holy man.
That's filming.
So he visits the witch, and she's like, "Okay, you're back. It's you again. Okay."
Her deep, creepy voice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was a witch or not at first, but yeah, because just very kind of gender neutral in appearance and everything. But people are saying she's a witch. So
she's gender fluid. Her pronouns are they, them.
Yeah, and she's like,
does a forest spirit have an evil forest spirit have gender? I
don't know.
They putting pronouns in my
my evil
mid 20th century Japanese films now.
Why I never. And she tells him that you're fine. You're never going to lose a battle unless this forest gets up and moves to your castle. That'd be weird, right?
Yeah, it's this movie's version of the no man of woman born can kill Macbeth.
Well, that was part of the prophecy in Macbeth, too, is the forest.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, the forest
okay,
would move.
Burnham Wood should come to Dunsinane. That's the...
Okay, I gotcha.
That one was a fear Macduff, no man of woman born shall kill you, and the Dunsinane forest, or the Burnham Wood will come to the gate.
Okay, so they just drop the no man of woman born here, and they're like, if the forest moves, you'll die.
Yeah, and that's enough.
Yeah, it's like, a forest move? That's impossible.
Yeah. Kurosawa is like, what's this about? You're coming out of your mother's pussy? That's crass.
X through that.
Yeah.
Too many.
Cut that out with a katana.
Yeah, and I don't know. This alleviates all of Washizu's fears. I would probably need a little bit more to make me sleep well at night, but he's like, "Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, everybody. It's all gonna be okay."
Yeah, we're gonna be okay.
Say the goddamn
I know there's like
word.
10,000 people around us, but everything's fine.
Yeah.
Unless these trees get up and move, that's never gonna happen.
He's like 85% lost his mind already.
I
at this
feel
point.
so
He's
bad
got a
for
good-
everybody who's just forced to follow him because he's clearly insane.
He's got a good line or two after the witch is telling him this stuff. He's like, I'll lay a fresh mountain of corpses over these bleached bones. A deluge of blood shall stain these woods crimson. And we get a bunch of like, this part was weird. There's like a bunch of soldiers in armor that are appearing to him.
Yeah.
A bunch of apparitions, and he's just like talking shit to all of them.
Yeah.
I recognized all these actors from Seven Samurai, but wasn't sure what they were about, really.
She's basically laying it on the line now, and she's like, if you're going to go full into your ambition, do it with cruelty. And he's like, yeah, this is a really great idea. I'm just going to kill everyone now. Everyone's got to die now. You're right, witch. This makes perfect sense to me. So he's basically made up his mind that he's going to kill all the lords and everybody.
Well, once you start killing somebody, like you chop one person down, there's going to be two people who want to take vengeance for them. So once you start going down that path, the only thing you can do is maybe I'll just kill everybody.
Yeah, pluck it out, root and stem. We don't have to worry then,
Yeah. But so he goes back to his castle. Noriyasu is coming back, and he's going to lead the assault, and they're talking about how they need to just go straight through the forest. Don't take the paths. The paths are going to confuse you. You just got to go straight through there. So immediately, this is a guy who knows his way around. Like, one of the great defenses of the forest castle is that people can't easily get there, but this guy, he knows how to get there, so they're coming for him.
He knows the true path. just go straight ahead.
Which
You
is
get a
like not
shot of,
helpful.
hundreds of guys on horseback riding into this dense-looking forest. It's pretty fucking
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Riding hard. They're going.
Yeah.
And once again, you don't actually see any battle, but it cuts back to Forest Castle, and you see all Washizu's men have been retreating from the forest into the castle, and Washizu's kind of calling them out for being cowards, but they're like, Lord Odagura, he's way too good at this forest combat. He's like a guerrilla, man. We can't beat him. Like we can't hold the forest against him. They own the forest.
And so, yeah, Washizu's just starting to, he's just slipping and more into madness. And then this is when about 200 birds start flying into the castle and
Yeah.
presumably to poop on them or something. I don't know, maybe there's like, anyways, this is another bad omen.
Well,
Tons of crows.
Tons of crows.
Yeah, they're all just flying in. It's like, this can't possibly be a bad omen. Like 100 crows crawling all over me.
yeah.
But yeah.
He's playing it off. It's like, no, we need to shoot them. That's for the royal feast tonight, the victory
Yeah,
feast. These
yeah.
crows are good. It's a good omen.
But, I mean, you talk about the woods coming to the castle. I mean, where do birds nest?
Yeah.
Good
Trees.
point.
That's part of that, right? And before that, that's when Washizu is addressing all of his men in the garrison there. And it's pretty cool because he has this big speech and you have all these extras. And they're in the same shot. You get wide shots as well with, you can see Mifune standing there and there's like a couple hundred extras. And that's all in
Yeah.
a big 3D set.
He's up on like a platform talking down to his army of men. He's kind of in an elevated position up there.
Yeah.
And
But
he's-
yeah, all this set was built in the Toho studios, by the way, and like every bit of care was taken to make it period accurate, not just in the look and the architecture of it, but also like the lacquer they used. They prepared in the old traditional way. This is the way Kurosawa had it done. Like the tea sets that they use, like tea was poured through them several hundred times to make sure they have the correct amount of aging on them and all of that. Like.
That is an amazing attention to detail.
Yeah, but those little things is why this doesn't
Yeah.
look like a cheap piece of shit
Everything looks
or
so
like
good.
a sci-fi channel show or whatever.
Yeah.
It's truly like greater than the sum of its parts. And
It holds
Yeah.
up 50 years later. Everything about it. I don't know. Yeah, it's so awesome. The sets look great. All the samurais and their armor when they're all together look great. It's insane.
And that's when he hears Asaji screaming.
she's starting to really
Yeah.
feel guilty.
She's snapping. She can't
Yeah.
wash I got an empty wash basin sitting in like an empty room, and she's kneeling over it, and she's trying to wash her hands off, as Lady Macbeth does.
Yeah.
And,
is the
she can't
damn
get the
you
blood
spot.
off her hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
She's
is
like,
where
how
they've-
can one old man have so much blood that I can't wash it off?
Yeah. They've switched places here where Macbeth is kind of resolute now, and he's like, yeah, I got to kill everybody. That's just where I'm at. And she's kind of gone mad now, so... I mean, he's still crazy, but...
Yeah, he's crazy in a different way now.
Yeah. He takes the washing basin away from her, and she like doesn't even notice or stop. She just keeps
Yeah.
washing. It's like bone chilling.
It's so
Yeah.
haunting.
yeah.
And this is like when we were watching it, like by this point, like everybody in the living room that I was watching this movie with last night was just like on the edge of their seats, being like,
Dead silent.
yeah, like, oh my god, this is intense.
You're a pin drop.
Yeah, and then so she's just really, she's kind of lost it, and Washizu's like, okay, time to go, rally the troops and bolster their support and their confidence. And he starts telling them about how, don't worry, that like all of this happened because I met some old crone in the forest, and she said
More of
It's
that
like,
self-fulfilling prophecy stuff.
we're gonna be okay because this old hag said so. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
And then he looks off the ramparts, and the trees are. You get a really cool shot of the trees just like swaying around, and they've come pretty well up to the gates of the castle.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
swimming through a sea of fog, and it just looks amazing.
Yeah.
He's freaking out. Again, a self-fulfilling prophecy thing where he told his men, guys, don't worry. I won't die as long as the forest doesn't move. And the forest can't move. And then, of course, the forest moves. And he's told all his men that that's an omen that he's going to die.
That means
so-
we can kill him now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his men are like, all right, that's enough of this.
Yeah.
So they shoot one arrow at him, and then they shoot a couple more, and then they shoot about 5,000 more arrows, and they're just pelting the wall around
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah, he's going around screaming, and yeah, there's just arrows flying like crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Mifune was
insane.
asked in an interview about like how he acted this scene out. He's like acting like
I
I
thought I was gonna
scared
die.
shitless. Yeah.
It's got to be one of the best death scenes in movie history. Just like thousands of arrows being shot at this guy, and he's dodging them, and they're landing all around him. And
some are getting him in his armor and stuff.
he looks like a porcupine by the end.
Yeah,
There's
he
just
gets
arrows
pierced by
sticking out.
many. Finally, the kill shot is one through the
10
neck.
Boromirs?
Yeah.
Yeah, Boromir times 1,000. Yeah,
He
yeah.
finally gets one through the neck, and it's all done in one seamless in-camera trick.
I have no idea. Do you know how they did that? Because that's another one that I was scratching my noodle over.
It's a classic cut, but it's a perfect cut. Like, it's a cut, and then the arrow goes through his neck. You could barely tell there's a cut there. It's very, very seamlessly done.
Yeah,
And
really
once again,
great.
that's Kurosawa's attention to detail. That's fucking impressive looking. Washizu.
He's not quite dead yet. He stumbles down the stairs. He's stumbling towards his men. They're all like backing up, like. He reaches for his sword, and
Never
that's all
even
she
draws it. Yeah.
falls right over.
Yeah, and R.I.P. Washizu.
That's
Yeah.
a rough death for somebody of his, a warrior of his stature in those times to die without
Murdered.
even a sword in your hand.
Yeah.
Murdered by ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
Vikings, they can't go to Valhalla unless they draw their sword. I don't know if the Japanese have anything like that, but
And now we see all those guys hauling the trees to the castle, and that's pretty cool. Like, those are guys for real carrying huge fucking heavy trees,
yeah.
and they're smashing in the gates of the castle and setting it ablaze.
Yeah, and then we cut to where we started. The same song is being played, and it's the castle's no longer there. It's the barren landscape with only his grave marking there, and
Yeah, it's like a reverse of the beginning, because in the beginning the fog rolls in on the empty field and rolls out with the castle. On this, it rolls in over the castle, and then it's just the empty field. And yeah, the no chorus is saying, "Here was a man who was murdered by ambition," and
he's an asshole anyways.
yeah, you see his lone grave again. Yeah,
Yeah, and end a movie.
Yeah.
Cut to credits.
Just get that spare haunting no flute
Yeah.
right at the end is the end. Fuck. So goddamn good.
Yeah.
did your family just sit in stunned silence for a minute?
Yeah, for a minute, yeah.
They're like, no one's letting Vonn pick movie night again.
Yeah. Well, that was a condition for if I was going to go over. I'm like, I need to watch this movie for the podcast because I had some my sister was visiting. So I'm like, I'll come over again, but we need to watch the movie. And she's like, what's the movie? And I said, Throne of Blood. And she's like, okay. And then once I explained it a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah, she probably thought it was some B movie slasher movie. or
Yeah,
something
like
that.
the name, like if you don't know
Yeah.
anything about it or who it's by, who knows what, like your mind's going to think that it's probably like some, slasher B movie. But I'm like, no, it's a Japanese adaptation of Macbeth and it's very widely well regarded and all that. And easy sell once I kind of dropped a couple of those things.
I personally love that title, Throne of Blood. But
Oh, yeah.
Spiderweb Castle is okay too. But Throne of Blood, I'm just like, so evocative.
Have you guys seen on the commentary I listened to, he brings up the Hidden Fortress a bunch? Have you guys seen that?
No,
I have, yeah.
Apparently, he's like, and Hidden Fortress uses some of these techniques, which, as everybody knows, is the inspiration for Star Wars. That was the original Star Wars. I was like, I didn't fucking know that.
I
knew
did
lots.
know.
I watched it on May the 4th last year because I was like, I'm not in a Star Wars mood, but maybe I'll watch Hidden Fortress because I heard it was an inspiration for Star Wars, and it's really, really good. I love it. I think a lot of people dismiss it as one of Kurosawa's lesser works, but it's one of my favorite. I think it's a little more of an adventure kind of thing.
Maybe stay tuned on that one. We'll put that up
Yeah.
against Force Awakens or something.
Yeah.
Bro,
I will say I think the connection is pretty thin between that and Star Wars because apparently C-3PO and R2-D2 were based off two characters in that. Like these two characters you see the story through kind of travel around, but in the Hidden Fortress they're these like despicable bandits who like attempt to sexually assault someone and stuff like that. It's like I don't remember C-3PO doing that. I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past R2.
R2, put that away. R2, no.
I'm like okay, I guess I see it.
Wow, so
In my original cut of Star Wars, C-3PO rapes. God damn it. It's supposed to be a no rape
Yeah, God. Somehow we always find our way back here.
I just had to flip the rape counter back to 0. It has been
days,
this
we got
many
0.
episodes since our last.
Next time, folks, we promise. But
So is this your favorite Kurosawa?
I think it is just because it's kind of a confluence of things I really like. Like, it's a samurai period piece, it's a Kurosawa movie, and it's a horror movie. Those are just like three things that I love that just it's really hard to say you have a favorite Kurosawa movie because they're all so great, but just
It's
those
impossible.
three things that I love are in this movie. So I think it is my favorite.
I know Vonn's only seen one or two, so I'm not
So
gonna
far,
ask him.
yeah.
Mine's Akira. Just personally, it hits me the most. It means the most to me. But
I haven't seen Akira yet. I've seen. I think
they're all so goddamn good. I do think I like his contemporary movies a little more than his samurai stuff.
I gotta see.
personally.
The only one I've seen of his contemporary movies is High and Low. The rest I've seen have all been like samurai period pieces. It's pretty interesting that, like, again, later in his career he was having trouble getting financing and stuff, I guess. So, but you had this wave of like all these Western directors who had been influenced him, who started like producing his movies and stuff. Like, I know George Lucas, I think Steven Spielberg. I think they produced some of his movies. He did
Yeah.
another Shakespeare adaptation of King Lear called Ran. That's really good.
Oh.
Cool.
It's a color movie, which I'm not used to seeing from Kurosawa, but he really pulls that off. He works really well with color too, which I was a little trepidatious before I watched that one because everything I've seen of his was black and white before then, and he
blacks
works
are
so good with it. Like,
The blacks are so black in this movie, and the white, like, really great use of contrast.
yeah,
I'm so excited to watch more of this guy's movies.
oh yeah, Ran has some of the greatest battle scenes ever.
That's Kurosawa,
Throne of
which
Blood.
I'm looking forward to. As we just said, I just can't wait to talk about more of his movies on the podcast
Yeah.
sometime. But yeah, that's Throne of Blood. Let's take a quick break and get to talking about Geoffrey Wright's Macbeth.
Mwah, mwah.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
So we just talked about kind of one of the greatest movies ever made. It's like it makes a lot of critics short lists. It was hugely influential. It was a tremendous adaptation, and now we're going to talk about.
Brought me to my knees on like my third viewing of it.
Yeah. Of all the hundreds of Macbeth adaptations out there, Geoffrey Wright's is one of them.
It certainly is one of them. And if you search Macbeth on like Letterboxd or Google, like it's hard to even find it on the list of adaptations. This one's seen by almost nobody. I think it
Yeah.
had like 90 reviews on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
That seems to be a trend on this show. Like when we go back into our Letterboxd reviews afterwards, there's a lot where they haven't even broken 100. So
Yeah, full disclosure, this was a Mitchell pick, and I did reference Letterboxd to pick it. I think I found a list that had all the Macbeth adaptations, and then I looked at the highest rated and the lowest rated. This wasn't the lowest rated. I totally judged a book by the cover on this one, and I picked it based on the box art, which might not be the best. Maybe the old saying's true. Don't judge a book by its cover, because I was really hoping this would be a lot cheesier and funnier. It's not really.
it goes.
I'd say it's pretty fucking cheesy. In the box art, to be fair, it looks like those Underworld movies and all
Yes.
those like really shitty looking digital movies from the early to mid aughts.
I'm pretty sure the box art isn't even in focus. It's just a still from the movie, probably.
Yeah, and I don't want to feel like we're punching down on this movie too much because, you know, Geoffrey Wright is the filmmaker and he, what's that movie he made with Russell Crowe?
Romper Stomper.
Romper
where
Stomper.
Russell
So
Crowe
he was kind of a
plays
promise.
skinhead.
Yeah, he was kind of a promising Australian indie director.
Good movie. Romper Stomper it's good. It's pretty intense. Russell Crowe is great. It's a star-turning role. And Geoffrey Wright hasn't really done that much. He has like 4 or 5 movies in his filmography.
This was the last movie that he directed, according to
Yeah.
Wikipedia,
Yeah, this could
which
be.
is a shame. I mean, I guess he didn't take off like George Miller or
And that's
Baz Luhrmann.
there is definitely some if you look at Romper Stomper, there's something there. Like there could have been something, but this movie isn't the reason that his career ended. Like if you look at his directorial career ended, but if you look at the production value and how everything goes, like it is they're not giving him a huge budget to do this. He kind of didn't really have the confidence of the studios or whoever by the time this movie came around.
No.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
But, like-
not a lot of resources on the screen on this one.
but he does have a vision
style.
for it. Yeah, like he's going for
the
something.
style is shit. But
Yeah, it's this is a very of its time movie compared to Throne of Blood, which is totally timeless, and you could watch that 50 years from now, and it came out 50 years ago, and it'll still be an amazing movie. This is like super early 2000s movie, like in terms of like the fashion, the way it's edited, just the style of the filmmaking, everything. Like again, it's probably shot on some crappy digital something or other.
it's so dated. It is early digital photography. It fucking shows, and it's
This movie,
Yeah.
it's like a Guy Ritchie movie ate a Danny Boyle movie,
Yeah.
and this is the kind of little turd
this
that
one-
came out later. Like,
little
there's some
turd
stuff I
floating
liked
down
about
the
it, but
stream.
this movie, yeah,
Well, let's flush this turd.
yeah, let's do it. So it's Geoffrey Wright, not that Geoffrey Wright,
No.
Not the,
Not the great
esteemed
actor. but it's Sam Worthington, who everybody knows. He's in Avatar. He's the main guy in Avatar.
One of the highest grossing actors of all time.
Yeah, he was John Connor in Terminator, Salvation. He's made some. He went on to some pretty big success.
Full disclosure, I totally forgot he was in Avatar. Yeah, I thought he just kind of fizzled out after Terminator, but yeah, I guess he is in the biggest movie, grossing
Biggest
movies
movie of all time. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, he came back and made it was in a movie that made like $2 billion.
yeah.
The other year.
He's doing fine.
Yeah. Victoria Hill's Lady Macbeth, Lockie Hume as Macduff, Gary Sweet's-Duncan, a bunch of Australian actors. I don't know who they are. I've never seen them before. I don't know if I'll ever see them again.
I did look up Victoria Hill, who plays Lady Macbeth in this. From what I could tell, I looked at her Wikipedia page, and her parents had their own Wikipedia pages. I was like, oh, Nepo baby.
Yeah, it's all adding up.
Yeah, her dad is like some CEO, and her mom is like the president of UNICEF. I'm like, okay, right on. She did co-produce Paul Schrader's First Reformed.
Oh.
And she appeared in that movie, so that's the only other thing I know her from, so that's pretty cool.
Interesting. But
I don't know I don't know what the problem with this movie is. Like, I guess by that I mean, I don't know if there's a single problem with this movie. It just kind of, because a lot of the actors I was fine with. The style, like, didn't work for me that much, but it was a decision, and they went with it, and I don't really know. It was kind of like a confluence of like all these kind of like missteps and kind of like little things that kind of made it into a bit of a mess, like a tonal mess for sure.
I think it was probably a mistake for them to do like the literal interpretation of Shakespeare, because it's weird seeing a guy with a laser-sighted rifle like quoting Shakespearean dialogue or whatever.
But Baz Luhrmann, another Australian director, had huge success with Romeo and Juliet. And that movie is cheesy as fuck, but I like it. Like, if it comes on, I'll sit down and watch it. And
The movie had a better soundtrack. It had a better cast.
yeah, better budget and all that. But like,
It
you know,
had
like,
better cinema. It was shot on film.
But-
And it looks fucking great.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
cool when like, but like, you know,
I'm not a Baz Luhrmann fan at all, but
Yeah,
that's a respectable piece of work.
and
right
that's some
there.
strong stylistic choices that kind of all do pay off. And when they're like, "Give me my long sword, ho," and they like hand him this big ass handgun, I'm like, "That's cool." Like that's kind of like a way that they're using the language, and they're kind of like taking a minute to show you how it is being translated into modern times. Whereas this one, yeah, it doesn't really do any of those extra things to make it make sense. Like, I don't even know who.
Make it make sense. Somebody, please.
just screaming to the heavens while you watch Macbeth 2006.
Well, like in Macbeth, like after Duncan's died, Malcolm runs off to England and his brother goes off to Ireland, and that's like, I don't know if they even say where he runs off to here. He's just like, I'm gonna go over to this, Japanese restaurant, and like that's where he's going into hiding. And like they're not really doing like taking the time to be like talk about the different factions or the different worlds. But if you're trying to do a direct adaptation, I don't know how you do that. So they kind of hamstrung themselves from the
There's
beginning.
not a lot of inspiration there, besides the fact that we're setting it in contemporary times and using the dialogue. There's no idea. There's no there.
It feels more like an interesting exercise in adapting Shakespeare than it does like any kind of a good movie.
It feels like a movie that shouldn't have been released.
No.
It should never really
And
have
I
seen the
think-
light of day.
It looks like it did get a theatrical release. I think maybe only in Australia because it only lists an Australian box office on Wikipedia.
Sure.
It made $200,000 in Australia at the box office.
So probably like
it's probably
quadrupled its budget.
Yeah, probably a small budget thing.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the movie opens with the witches. That's 3 teenage-ish looking girls. They're dressed like schoolgirls. They're running around a graveyard, and they're defacing all of these tombstones and like putting like red paint on like the angel statues and all the spooky stuff as they're doing their opening monologue.
They're bad girls. They were extras from The Craft.
Yeah.
Or something. That's kind of the vibe that they're getting. Just kind of like gothy girls sort
They're
of.
not naughty gothy girls.
This is an edgy, sexy interpretation of Macbeth, and so the witches in this are beautiful babes who show their boobs a lot.
Yeah, right away it's like, this ain't your mama's Shakespeare.
Every opportunity to have nudity, this movie takes it.
Yeah.
Which is so yeah, they're going around, they're doing their like, oh, when again will we meet in the hurly burly, and they're doing all those great lines, and again it's just the dialogue is not very audible. Maybe it was the versions we watched or whatever, but even like one of the great things, like if you are going to do an adaptation of Shakespeare, you're coming in with a huge advantage in that the dialogue and the writing is just so well done, and if you're having a hard time even understanding the dialogue, you're kind of setting yourself back already.
Man, the sound mixing is so bad. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, I don't know if that's for sure how it was. I think it might be just a remnant of the early digital filmmaking there.
Yeah.
But
again, this is a
like
movie.
the soundtrack is blaringly loud and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is almost inaudible. I had my TV turned up all the fucking way, and you could hear it throughout the house, but it was the only way I could hear any of the dialogue, which is hard enough to understand because A, it's Shakespeare, and B, it's inaudible, and C, it's people with thick Australian accents saying it, which throws you off even a little more over a blaring soundtrack.
And a micro-budget 2006 early digital movie. Who knows what kind of... I'm assuming they didn't have maybe they had mics recording things. I mean, they must have.
It was borderline unwatchable.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty pissed. I had to turn it off after 10 minutes the first time I tried watching it because I'm like, I can't make this out. I need subtitles. There's no subtitles. Like YouTube couldn't even make.
They couldn't even be bothered to plug an AI into it.
Yeah, give me the AI subtitles. Give me something.
Yeah, it's usual funny subtitles that don't quite add up to what's on the video, but
it's one of the more
I don't
obscure
remember
movies
Macbeth asking for a Coca-Cola. So the witches do their thing, and then in the same cemetery, there's Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and they're standing over the grave of their son.
Oh, right.
And Lady Macbeth is bawling her face off, and Macbeth's all like stoic and like, ooh, I'm brooding and dark.
As he is. He's a very brooding, dark guy.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that's a deviation maybe from Shakespeare's script, but in any case, I'm
been
like,
a while.
Are we having fun yet?
starting off strong.
I listened to like an audiobook of a reading of Macbeth kind of in preparation for this episode. James Marsters from our last episode, he played Piccolo. He played Macbeth in this movie.
He's
and
done all the great
Macbethalo.
roles.
He's Macbethalo. And so in between...
He did 16 hours in the makeup chair just to sit and read an audiobook.
It was really weird. They just like cut to him floating in a flying fortress talking about how he's going to murder a king somewhere.
He's wiggling his antennae.
And I don't think there's any mention of them having a kid. Like if there is a plot point, it was not really directly addressed. Maybe it's some background inspiration for the actors, but
Maybe he was inspired from Throne of Blood
Could
a
be.
little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is when we cut to Macbeth and the boys doing some sort of drug deal.
yeah. Buddy pulls up in like his Barbie dream boat. It's just this like hot pink speedboat that comes up, and they give him a couple of duffel bags of money or drugs or whatever.
Yeah,
And-
the Macbeth gang, the conceit of the movie is instead of a kingdom, it's Duncan's gang. Duncan is the mafia don of this gang, and, Macbeth's a part of, and they're doing a drug deal down at the pier. They meet up with, like, this Asian Joker gang. There's, like, this goth gang of with, like, white makeup on. They're all Asians, and I think they're driving, like, a fancy Honda or something.
They've got the stereotypically Asian name of McDonald. Yeah, I like it. Of course, the deal goes awry, and I think it was planned from the start. They were going to wipe out McDonald's gang.
Yeah. And it turns into an absolute bloodbath. And
Yeah, blasting rock and roll on the soundtrack, but it's
It's
just
so
like
bad.
generic fart rock.
oh yeah, it's just like the drums in the background are just like like it's just like a constant like crescendo building up to nothing, but it's just like I was kind of okay with it at this point. There was a pretty extensive shootout scene. There's lots of sparks and squibs and
Lots of everybody's
stabbings.
got Uzis. Like all of a sudden, everyone has an Uzi. There's like two girls like dressed up all like in high fashion, like Asian girls, I think. And
So cool.
One's like in pink, one's in blue, I think, and they've got like these designer handbags that match. And even they like have Uzis in the handbags, and they're shooting out.
And this
Yeah.
is working for me. 'cause
They
I'm
get
like,
just blasted.
It's like a Batman gang. They're like goth themed. They've got like chains and fishnets, and like they're wearing a costume. And yeah, it's early promise, like promising. You're getting a gunfight. You're like, this could be an
But
exciting
there was
little
like
movie.
hardly any, if any at all, dialogue going up to
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, give me some of the Shakespeare
That's-
dialogue
well,
you're
that's the
putting in
thing.
this movie. Tell me what's going on. Who are these fucking
Yeah.
people? Why should I care?
well, all the, like so. They stick with a lot of the dialogue, and there is at the beginning of Macbeth, there is a battle that takes place, and it's off scene. It's just, and also like in Throne of Blood, there's a big battle happening elsewhere, and you're kind of like, then after the battle's done, that's when they, Macbeth gets his rise in station, and so
Yeah.
this movie does that a few times where they kind of weave in this extra story without any explanation at all, and it's kind of confusing. It's very confusing. And it just doesn't work. And
It's always awkward because they want to throw an extra scene in, but Shakespeare didn't write dialogue for it, so it's always there's a few no dialogue scenes where they're trying to convey an idea.
They're
With,
just put in action. They're just trying to do
Yeah.
action, which this movie isn't and never should have been an action movie.
no.
or go all the way with it and make it like a
Yeah.
pure action, not transliteral Macbeth adaptation.
But the thing is, the action is shot like shit. You got your shaky camera. Everything's dark and hard to see. The audio is ridiculous. It's impossible to listen to. It's so mind-bogglingly ugly. It's also doing a lot of the like Wong Kar-wai style. If you've ever
Yeah.
seen Fallen Angels, like the slow frame rate,
Yeah.
slow-mo, where
Yeah.
it like goes all like blurry, and it's like in Wong Kar-wai movies, it's kind of a iffy effect.
It
Yeah.
doesn't
It
work for
looks
me
cool
there.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe in the 90s it was like a music video cool thing, but
Yes.
like it's 2006. Like this looks like shit.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'll accept it from a Wong Kar-wai, but
Yeah, because his movies look good.
yeah,
So one of the biggest problems with this movie is they don't have the faith in the source material, so they do these deviations to
Exactly.
make it exciting when the excitement and the tension should be elsewhere. It should be in the text itself. And so like every time it cuts away to these things, like it did show some early promise, and then you go right back into the boring drab whatever, and it doesn't come up often enough, and it tries to
Why even you do Macbeth? Because it's the most exciting and intense probably of any Shakespeare play that I know of. Like there's hardly any fat on the story. It just fucking moves. It's intense, and you're not using it.
I get the sense that Macbeth might be like a brainworm for creative types, where they're like, I want to do my Macbeth, like I got Macbeth in my head. I'm not gonna rest until I do it.
So then after the shootout, they go to the Cawdor bar, and they shoot everyone there and rob them. And Macbeth sits there with the club owner, and he's got him like duct taped up, and he's sitting there drinking Johnny Walker Black.
They're popping
Good choice.
pills too, just handfuls of pills. Him and Banquo.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're taking drugs because it's so fucking
Yeah, they're edgy.
whoa, man, badass.
Macbeth's a little broody sourpuss,
Yeah.
as he is throughout the entire movie.
Duncan comes and he gives Macbeth the club. That's like in this movie. This is the analog for castles or fortresses.
Yeah.
You get clubs.
Yeah, you get this club. This is your North Castle, Macbeth.
How many clubs full of mirrors can like Melbourne, Australia, like really
Yeah.
have?
It's so funny. Like, so Macbeth, while he's like brooding over everything, he's like, I need to go practice my stage show. And he just like goes on and like turns on the smoke machines. It's like
Yeah.
laser. And he just starts doing kind of like like a Footloose style interpretive dance where he's like punch dancing out his frustrations while there's like lasers being shot through the fog all around him, and
he's all fucked up on the pills and the booze. He's dancing in the fog, and that's when he gets the vision with this movie's weird sisters, where they lay the prophecy down for him. The whole, the Macbeth prophecy. They're like, you'll be in charge. You'll take over for Duncan, and
and the soundtracks.
Thy look not like the inhabitants of Earth, and yet are on it. And
a twist,
it's
because
all hazy.
Like when he says that in normal Macbeth, he's saying, you guys are a bunch of ugly old hags, but in this he's saying, you guys are so sexy. You look not like inhabitants of Earth, man.
Mm-hmm. Those astronaut pants. That ass is out of this world. And so the soundtrack kind of switches gears here too. It goes from its like butt chugging rock into some like sleazy porno Portishead type music, and that's like the witch songs. So it's kind of like weird, sexy, I guess, electronic something or other. And
Macbeth was partying with Banquo. Banquo's got like this cool earring. It looks like a Christmas ornament, and then like Banquo,
he always wanted to be a Christmas ornament on a tree.
He partied too hard. He goes and pukes in the bathroom, and that's when Macbeth was dancing with the weird sisters. And Banquo comes back out. Macbeth's like, I just partied with some witches, man. And Banquo's like, you crazy, man.
This Macbeth's so crazy.
All hail Macbeth and Banquo.
Yeah. Hail Macbeth, Thane of the Bar.
God, this movie's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, and so kind of while this is happening, some other people are talking to Duncan about how Macbeth is so great and blah, blah, blah. And Macbeth gets the prophecy that he will be the mob boss or whatever.
Yeah.
He'll get the biggest club in Sydney.
You're going to be the mafia don.
In Melbourne. He gets the biggest club in Melbourne. And Banquo can get the second biggest club and all that. And he goes home and there's this like insanely loud synth music playing and in like Macbeth's house, and he's walking through there.
It hurt my teeth.
It's so
fucking
loud.
music.
And then he turns off his stereo, and it turns out that it was diegetic music the whole time, which made me like wonder, like, was everything like?
Now that's a Kurosawa-like move.
Yeah. And Lady Macbeth, she's fine, but he kind of like he goes into the whole thing. It's like I party with some witches. They said that I get
and
to.
she's naked, by the way.
Of course,
Her out, and
she's in the bathtub.
The first time we see her, and every time pretty much after that.
I think she's all fucked up on pills too. Probably she's laying in the bathtub and like kind of sleeping, and he comes in like,
I hated that.
Don't sleep in the bathtub.
Oh man. Can you imagine if Lady Macbeth was like a babe and she was naked and like passed out on drugs in the bathtub the first time we see her?
So edgy. And she
Twisted.
And she like belittles his manhood, where he's like, the whole Macbeth thing.
Thou
the classic.
wouldst be great, but not without ambition. The whole speech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, the whole Macbeth theme. Ambition poisons everything, greed, and blah, blah, blah.
And he's like, but it was probably just nothing. I was just drunk, whatever. And then they cut to the guy who, I think it was this priest is reading. He's reading this guy's last rites, and then the guy gets his head blown off, and then Macbeth, he finds out that he gets to head the next biggest club.
Yeah.
He gets a club grade.
Yeah. Duncan says for what he had lost, noble Macbeth had won.
I will give the movie a little credit. There is a couple interesting locations. There's some cool dark alleyways that are kind of atmospheric and moody, and like Macbeth meets King Duncan, gang lord mafia don Duncan, in this, it looks like an under construction skyscraper. They're like on an upper level or something, and that's where he gets the coolest bar bestowed upon him. And
I think none of them jumped out at me. Except for the very final one, which we'll get to at the end.
Probably
I thought that was the best one.
The smallest, most threadbare compliment. I could. Some of the locations were pretty interesting, but
It's some of the locations. Most of them I weren't great. A lot of it was shot inside and it was a low budget thing.
Yeah,
but it's hard. I try not to hold budget against things because people are.
No,
you can make brilliant art on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
There's a few scenes in this where we get like shots of they're dark and grainy, and they're looking at the moon, and everything's like got a weird color filter on it, and it looks like really green, and the clouds are moving fast, and you see like a swing set in silhouette and stuff in the distance. And I was like, that would almost be cool if this didn't look and sound like shit right now.
Like that was almost creepy and evocative, that shot of the swing set.
It reminded me of like Evil Dead, like the first one where when he'd like look outside the cabin, but like Lady Macbeth is kind of looking on, and it's ominous.
I think there's some green light kind of shining through fog behind the swing set.
I mean, Evil Dead was made for like, I don't know what, $15,000 or whatever. Looks amazing.
Yeah.
This movie.
Yeah.
Not so much.
And they didn't even need to buy film for this.
I did some design classes or whatever in there, and when you're doing that, like we did a whole module on text-based design. And one of the big things is you respect the text. Like, you don't need to make it, like, give it a weird bend or, like, do weird things with it. You can just use the letters, and you can make really cool things with it. And this movie really relies on making everything wackadoo and Dutch angles and, like, really trying to hyper-stylize it and not respecting, like, different type of text. But it's not respecting what's going on. Like, that's cool scenery, but it looks shitty. And because they're trying to make it look even a little bit cooler, like amp it up, and that really makes it worse.
That's 100%. Yeah, that's
too bad.
Good way of putting it.
It's one of the things that makes this feel dated and of its time, is that kind of leaning into a particular kind of style.
Yeah, and one of the problems, I think it was a problem with this movie, is whenever you're doing an adaptation like this, how do you handle the monologues and the soliloquies and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. Like, do you just have somebody talking to themselves and kind of like pacing back and forth or whatever? And this movie opts to just have it all be voiceover, and you kind of have these actors kind of minimally showing expression, like these are words they're thinking, and like it so doesn't work for this. Whereas she does the whole, like, it's such a great monologue where she's like talking to God. Lady Macbeth is talking to God and saying, "Unsex me, like take away all of my womanly weakness and like give me the courage, like so I can, hold myself fast to this thing." It's like a really moving monologue. But
that should be a meal for any actress.
Yeah,
and this one is fine.
It's
I shit on her before because obviously she's not Nicole Kidman, but like that should be a meal for her, and she's doing it in voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. It's just showing her kind of like walking and kind of thinking these thoughts, and it should have been
what a
better.
waste.
It is, and it was too bad because they do that with a bunch of monologues like and soliloquies. And Macbeth has. Yeah. I'm no scholar, but it has some of the best, some of the most well known. Like it's a seminal text. Like
there's so many memorable lines and quotes, and at best in this movie, if they appear at all, they're obscured by a loud soundtrack, and they're not delivered by actors with any expression. I haven't brought it up yet, but Joel Coen's 2021, The Tragedy of Macbeth, does this so much fucking better, and it doesn't update it to new times, but it's kind of almost in like a liminal state where everything is kind of white and blown out, and everything is super minimalistic, so you can focus on the performances and the text of the Shakespeare. And I mean, why would you put Frances McDormand in that movie as Lady Macbeth if you can't see her deliver her amazing monologues? Like, it's if it was in voiceover, even in that movie, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, she has a face. Let her fucking use it. Like,
I mutter to myself all the time. Like, it's not weird to have somebody just like talk to themselves. Like, obviously I don't go off on like 20 stanzas worth of whatever, but it's a movie. Like, have people talk to themselves.
Iambic pentameter. You don't just like sit there while you're driving around.
That's how I do my drive-through orders.
Yeah, it's real weird that they would, on the one hand, be doing such a literal interpretation, but then just so blatantly miss the mark and like lose the essence of what makes Macbeth great. It's like the worst of all worlds. It's like they lost everything good about Macbeth and kept the not that great parts or something.
So while this is while Lady Macbeth is doing her great monologue, there's Dutch angles, and they're showing like a ham being cut up, and they're going to have a big old ham dinner that night.
Mm-hmm. Duncan's coming over.
Duncan's coming. Get the ham. Babe, better get 2 hams tonight. Duncan's coming with his crew.
It's going to be a party. Yeah, Macbeth's got like a party room. It kind of reminded me of Dawn Davenport's female trouble room that they gift her, where there's just like red curtains hanging on the wall. And that's like the sign that it's a classy party room.
Well, he's got this banquet table, and there's like 5 electric guitars just on stands at the end of it. Like, I don't know what's going on with this place. It's pretty.
I wonder if this
looks
was
like a pretty sweet party
Man,
room.
like, if you're gonna do this stupid movie, have him rip a guitar solo or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just grab like the flying
That's it.
V and like just ripping Metallica solos.
Lean
like,
into the
as he's
cheesiness.
doing the soliloquy. Lean in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hush now, child. Our host is about to perform Eruption by Van Halen. Like, can you imagine? It would be so much better if later on, when Banquo's ghost comes on, he just like has to express his like madness through like amazing like face shredding solos.
I think we just thought of our Macbeth movie that we're gonna make.
Man,
Rock opera Macbeth.
stick to the material and then also just lean into the absurdity of it.
Stick to the material and add a few more guitar solos.
Yeah. Yeah. If they had gone full cheesy, it would have been a funner watch.
Yeah. So Sam Worthington's being a whiny little baby. He's such a dour ass, like son of a gun this entire time. And Lady Macbeth's like, snap out of it. You got Duncan. Duncan and his boys are here. Like, now's your chance. Let's kill this guy. And they're kind of sort of having like a bit of a party. Banquo's son, he's trying to sneak some wine. And Banquo's like,
no wine
no
for you.
drinking at the table.
You're a little boy.
And Lady Macbeth. Fleance, yeah.
Is his name, I think. Yeah.
And so Macbeth, he has to get up and excuse himself, and he goes, and Lady Macbeth is like, what the fuck is your problem? And then she's like, so intense, or Macbeth's like, I don't think I can do this. And she's like, she's like, if I had a baby, I've given suck. If I had a babe in my hand and I've given suck and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me, I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed his brains out, had I sworn as you have done this.
Hardcore.
And he's like, okay, I'll go pour some more wine.
It's good. Give us more of those lines.
It's so good.
Please.
Like,
I
it's
know. You should, like, yeah.
I've
in
always-
voiceover, like, because she's decided she is going to kill Duncan or hatch a scheme to kill Duncan.
Yeah.
And, you know, stars hide your fires so that none might see my black and deep desires. Like, iconic fucking lines.
and it sounds great, and like
It sounds great.
they don't give us enough of that.
More,
And-
please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Macbeth had a party. Him and the boys had a good ham dinner, and they're gonna sneak into Duncan's room. And the plan is, instead of poison them, they're gonna get the guards so drunk that they'll pass out. And
Yeah.
Macbeth is gonna go murder Duncan.
She does use a mortar and pestle to kind of grind up some of her pills.
She put something into
okay.
their drinks.
I didn't
so
know. This
they were-
movie's so subtle. I missed that entirely.
She mixes up her big potion and brings it to them, and she's like, "Hey guys, drink up."
Yeah.
Got
They're
some
the
special
bodyguards.
grog.
Yeah, and Macbeth is, of course, having second thoughts, and tries to back out, and she's,
He says, it.
screw your courage to the sticking place, and we will not fail.
Yeah, like where'd you leave your balls, in your purse?
Yeah,
He's
like,
like,
get
we,
to it."
We will go no further in this business.
Yeah. and so where Throne of Blood, the murder takes place off scene, and it's very, kind of moving and startling when he comes back with blood. This one, they show like the goriest stabbing. He stabs him about 50 times.
yeah. Macbeth takes the knives from and they're like the cool, like kind of knives you'd find at like one of those stores where you'd like get a bong or whatever, or like a trippy looking poster or whatever. It's like the ornamental type.
That's so
Knives.
true.
I think we have a couple. There's probably a couple of those around the studio somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Again-
were all like 13 or whatever
Yeah.
when this.
Super of its time. Even the knives are of their time.
He dresses like a 13-year-old. He's wearing like a dragon shirt, and there's like his entire wardrobe he got from Dan Flash. That's that store, and I Think You Should Leave that has like the outrageous shirts.
Yeah, most complicated patterns.
Yeah, and so he stabs him brutally, and he comes back, and
Yeah,
Lady
he
Macbeth-
stabs him like 100 times.
It's so much.
and
Yeah.
it's relentless how much it shows you, and it's like with each stab, I'm feeling less and less of the effect of what should be a powerful scene in this movie.
Macbeth and Duncan play a little game of knifey spoony, and Duncan loses. It's a bloody massacre. There's blood all over
The
Macbeth's
Australian
face.
pastime
Yeah.
of knifey spoony.
There's a few games of knifey spoony throughout the movie.
Yeah. And
Nobody's nerfed in Australia.
and yeah, the plan is just like to frame the crew, just making like his bodyguards make them think that they had such a wild night that one of them kind of, got too drunk and accidentally stabbed his boss 1,000 times.
Yeah. Well, Lady Macbeth sets it up in this one. She plants the knife on them and the two curved cool knives, and she kind of smears blood on them. So it actually looks like a pretty good setup in this one.
It takes Macbeth entirely too long to wash his hands and change his shirt. He's just kind of like,
He's all fucked up.
like he just kind of like starts like doing the dishes and going about his business. Like, I don't know. If I just did some heinous act like that, I'm gonna change and hop in the shower immediately. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Piss
he's
poor
washing
planning.
up his hands, and then that's when Macduff knocks on Dunsinane's door.
he's fashionably late to the party. He brought an extra ham, so it's okay.
Yeah, and then they're freaking out. My hands are of your color, but a little water clears us of this deed. And,
Can all of Neptune's oceans wash these hands clean?
yeah, and that's when they discover Duncan's body, and Macbeth does exactly what Toshiro Mifune does and kills the guards immediately before they can even say that they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, they're
Just
waking
smokes
up.
these guys in front of
Yeah.
everybody.
Does it with a gun instead of a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Just like blows their brains out. Macduff is like, the fuck, ye Macbeth? Why if you did that?
He's like, oh, well, certainly you could forgive me for my rage in the heat of the moment. I don't know exactly what the quote is, but there's a Shakespeare dialogue there.
Yeah, and so after they die, Matt Doran plays Malcolm in this. He plays Mouse in The Matrix. That's probably his
Tasty
most
Wee.
famous role. That or Elan
Yeah.
Sleaze-Bagano in Attack of the Clones.
Oh.
He's the guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Is he the guy who's like, you want to buy some death sticks?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was in The Matrix, and Steve Bastoni, who plays Banquo, he was in Matrix Reloaded.
Oh yeah.
So we got a couple Wachowski connections here.
Working Australian actors, but yeah,
Okay.
Malcolm decides he's gonna get out of Dodge. He's like, I don't think my dad slipped and fell on a knife 100 times. I think somebody might be out to get me.
Something's a little suspicious here.
One change from the story that from Macbeth is Duncan has two sons. I don't think they give him a second son in this one. I don't think it's not really that important to the plot, but they go to one goes to England, one goes to Ireland. So in this one, Malcolm decides he's just going to go to his favorite sushi place and lay low there. So he's gone. And Macduff is a little suspicious about all of this, rightfully so, because Macbeth is like super heat score the entire time.
Yeah, he's an idiot. But
So-
nonetheless, he's elected king or whatever.
He gets the biggest club. There's more bombastic soundtrack, and Macduff looking a little uncertain.
Like the music in this part, it kind of like it sounds like an interstitial music. It's like ba 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 da ba ba. It sounds kind of like an interstitial music from a sitcom, like if you're watching Seinfeld. It really doesn't fit the mood.
No, not at all. It's not great, and it's pretty distracting more because it is so overblown compared to everything else.
It's super loud. Yeah.
And kind of peppered throughout this. I don't know if it's started already, but every so often while like Macbeth is going about his business, we'll cut to something that looks like surveillance camera footage of somebody spying on him from afar, and like there's these people who are watching him. Who are they?
Yeah.
I don't know, because they never get any dialogue at all. He's just being watched by some.
Yeah. What was that about?
That's-
I don't know.
Is that
There's some
the
night
chorus?
vision footage. It's the cops are watching Macbeth. They're watching all of this unfold.
Is
and
it the cops?
It is the cops, and it's not a scene that's actually in the Macbeth play. So none of these scenes have dialogue or
There's
anything.
no cops
and
with
there's no cops with night vision
CCTV and
cameras.
night vision goggles.
But they'll collaborate with Malcolm. Malcolm will go to them, and the cops kind of show him this footage to confirm his suspicion that like, oh yeah, Macbeth's been plotting this.
Oh,
and
he's a snitch?
he works with the cops. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, me neither. This movie's just.
Yeah. Again, these scenes are not from Macbeth, so these are scenes that have no dialogue where there's just like meaningful glances being exchanged and stuff. But there's two uniformed officers reviewing the footage at one point. There's a little scene of that.
Well, they are so scarce on details on these things that they're adding that nobody's going to be familiar with, and they just overblow all this other stuff to kind of make it cool, and it's left me a little
Yeah.
confused. But
A lot of the time, I found it hard to look at the screen. The cinematography is so flat, and it's so ugly. I like,
My eyes.
and it was so dark. Oh man, I couldn't tell what was going on half the time.
Yeah.
This was hands down the hardest movie we've ever had to watch for this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, and I blame Mitchell.
Yeah. Not to give the game away, but this might be the lowest rated for me that out of the high and low podcast movies we've watched
Lowest
So
rated
far.
so far.
so far.
So Macbeth laments that he has no heir, and according to the prophecy or whatever, so he sends assassins, these two hired goons he's got, a couple of clowns that he sends to kill Banquo and his son Fleance.
Yeah, well, they're doing their
Yeah.
afternoon dirt bike ride.
Yeah, they're riding around on motorbikes.
He's very suspicious because like Banquo's not into this new Macbeth reign. He leaves the party early, and Macbeth's like, "Where you going, bro?" Like Banquo's like, "I got some stuff to take care of. I gotta go." And that's planted the seeds in Macbeth's mind that might have to take Banquo out.
Yeah,
Gotta kill Banquo.
gotta go.
They kill him. Again, very of its time riding a dirt bike around in the woods. I don't know why. That feels like an early 2000s. like,
So in the play, Banquo and Fleance are ambushed while they're going for a ride. So, it's kind of sticking with it.
Yeah.
But they
If
they
you
just
think about it, motorcycles are like modern horses.
yeah, a steel horse.
Iron steeds.
I ride.
Could have
Bon
used more
Jovi.
Bon Jovi on the
Yeah.
soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I could have used Bon Jovi in the movie.
He would fit in.
He's
He
done
would
movies.
fit in with
Yeah.
all these fucking pretty boys.
But Bon Jovi during 2006 looked just like one of these guys.
That's true.
yeah.
Fleance escapes.
Yeah, and they bash Banquo and they bash his brains in pretty good.
Yeah.
They just clobber him with these bats.
It's violent
It's-
for no
it's-
good reason.
Yeah, it's hyper violent.
They take his earring, his fancy Christmas ornament earring, and to bring back to Macbeth for proof that they did the deed. It's gonna come up later.
Yeah.
So then he's having dinner, just like in Throne of Blood, and it's an awkward dinner scene.
What's wrong, Macbeth? You haven't played your guitar solo. Everything okay, man?
You've hardly even done a Van Halen song. So instead of looking at an empty place setting, he's kind of looking in the mirror.
Yeah, he looks over in the mirror and he sees
There's lots of mirrors in this movie.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Means tacky decorations.
His own
makes the room
twisted
look bigger.
reflection looking back at him.
Yeah,
Plus the
yeah.
ghost of Banquo.
Yeah, and
So
he's
he's-
beaten up pretty bad.
Yeah, he
Banquo
sees
is.
Banquo's ghost garroting him in
Yeah.
the mirror.
It's the same deal. He freaks the fuck out. Everyone at the dinner is like, "What's going on?" Lady Macbeth's like, "He's had a bit too much to drink." He freaks out like he's being murdered every time he has too much to drink. Don't worry about it.
And
They're
they should
like,
know
guys,
that.
was Banquo dead? And he's like, all right, I'll kill you again, Banquo.
Banquo? Who said anything about Banquo?
I don't know, man. I think Sam Worthington is the best part of this movie. I think he's delivering some weirdness and some wildness to his performance.
Yeah, he's good.
Not that you
but-
have to be big to be good,
Yeah.
as you well know from my opinions on stuff, but I think he's the most interesting part of this movie. He's kind of giving it his all. He's not Toshiro Mifune, but like
Yeah.
he's doing something.
Yeah, I think Lady Macbeth or Victoria Hill is good when she's given the opportunity to, but more often than not, she isn't, and she's just like
No.
being forced to like be naked and topless or whatever, and it's too bad because when she does get a chance to really sink her teeth into some of these great lines, she delivers them well, but
Yeah.
she's not given that opportunity much, just a couple times.
There is just an awkwardness of trying to fit the Shakespeare dialogue into however Geoffrey Wright's trying to twist it to different scenes that weren't in the original Macbeth. And I guess Sam Worthington does a pretty good job navigating that and like being able to deliver lines that weren't meant for the scenes they're in.
So Macbeth goes to bed, and the witches reappear to him.
They're doing some naked cooking.
Yeah, they're just straight up naked as soon as they show up. They've got all like cool tattoos.
Yeah.
They're in his kitchen. They're making their disgusting potion of baboon eyes and blood of dragon. Whatever
Blaspheming Jew.
else. Oh god.
Liver of blaspheming Jew. Finger of strangled babe. Is this stuff in the...
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
There's been
Baboon's blood.
like Macbeth. Some people say that that opening witch part was added on by later authors after Shakespeare. So I guess there's different versions of Macbeth that have different weird sister involvement in them.
Was Shakespeare Christian? He must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he had to be.
Yeah, that blaspheming Jew line stood out to me. I was like,
He's
does he curse the Jews a lot?
well, one of the,
I
he did
think
the Merchant
this
of
guy
Venice.
might be a little problematic
Yeah.
from
I mean,
Elizabethan England.
Famously Shylock in The Merchant of Venice. That's not necessarily a very flattering portrayal of Jewish people.
Oh, okay.
But,
I don't know
you know.
that story, really.
That's kind of become a go-to kind of racist word, Shylock kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I know you're the expert on them.
It's in my big book of racist words.
It's a big coffee table book with one word on each page.
It's like one of those alphabet books. Like, A is for
No, A is for go through the whole thing.
A is for S is for
So Mitchell's notes, I guess, said that this was like a nasty like potion or whatever. My notes said it's a tasty broth. So I guess that leaves a little to each their own.
You've got the same opinion as Macbeth. He's into it.
He's
Yeah, I'm
so
not
into
yucking
it.
anyone's yum.
So they give him a little sip, and Macbeth can't handle his trip, and he starts having a really bad time.
It devolves into
Bad
an
time.
orgy.
He's fucking those girls.
They have like a big group sex scene, and the witches are telling him again what he wants to hear. I guess like, oh, you got to make these moves, and you got to be cruel. And Macbeth's like, yeah, this is the best orgy ever. I
This
love
looks
it.
like a 90s Europop music video without the good music,
Yeah,
without the I'm blue down on you. It is
yeah.
unwatchable.
It's
Yeah,
one of
they
the
say no man-
sexier, edgier scenes.
Yeah, they say no man of woman born can kill Macbeth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also shown Fleance being hailed the gang leader. So it's like, oh, look out for Fleance. He's going to
Yeah.
fucking take over.
Banquo's son.
Yeah, he sends his assassins to go and kill Macduff's wife and kid.
So
Macbeth, during the dinner scene where Macbeth was freaking out and Lady Macbeth's making excuses for him, he dropped Banquo's earring on the ground, and one of Macbeth's men picks it up, and they're like, this is the seeds of doubt are being sown now, where Macbeth's men are like, why does Macbeth have Banquo's giant Christmas earring, and it's all covered in blood and stuff? This is kind of weird.
they got matching earrings when they went on vacation together in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Easily explained
It's
away.
like a BFF, best
Yeah.
friends medal.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and one of the witch's prophecies is that he should beware Macduff, and so he sends his assassins to go kill everybody in Macduff's house, while Macduff is away in the play. He's away in England talking to Malcolm. I don't know if they really go into where he is here, but
Yeah. Again, a bit of a shockingly violent scene.
super violent.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah,
a change.
We see this little boy, or he's like, I don't know, like 10 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
This blonde kid,
Yeah.
and they're like having dinner with Malcolm.
It's not
Ross.
Malcolm.
It's
yeah,
Ross.
yeah, and it's so Ross is
Ross
her
is
cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's telling Macduff's wife she should lay low, and she's like, I'll be safe here. And
yeah, and
So
she's
you
pretty
should
pissed
go
off.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Well, where am I gonna go? I'm innocent. She's also like pissed off that Macduff left at all.
Yeah.
And here they made a change, and I think it's a fair change. In the play, this kid is just like a little shithead. He's like talking, he's just like talking back. It's like, oh, if my dad was dead, you'd be crying. You're just gonna find some new guy, and just like going back and forth. And in this, he's just kind of like he's a cute little kid. He comes and eats some of her pie, and
Yeah.
It's normal. He's playing
she kinda
his PlayStation 2 or whatever.
yeah,
She's like,
she
"You little
tussles his
scamp."
hair.
Yeah, it does go out of its way to show that Macduff has like a kind of a good home life, I guess. There's a couple scenes with the family. He takes a drawing that his kid made off the fridge and everything. It's like, I wonder if anything bad's gonna happen to this family.
He takes it to his gang meetings. Be like, hey kids,
Look what my kid drew.
yeah.
Everyone's like, yeah, great.
Yeah, well, maybe he took it off the fridge because he didn't think it was very good, and he's like, "This doesn't belong on the fridge." But
Yeah, and so then
Like the second Malcolm or Ross leaves. So the second Ross leaves,
yeah,
those two hired goons of Macbeth
Yeah.
show up.
I gotta say they're good goons. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
they're goons for sure.
They pop up a few times. They do all Macbeth's dirty
or
work.
Lady Macduff's like, who's there? And they're like, goons. Hired goons. Hired goons.
Yeah.
They break in and
One's outside, and she's like, and then it turns out that the killer was already inside the house because the other guy pops up right behind her and
violently garrots her.
and he's enjoying
first they
it,
shoot the kid.
and she's losing her shit.
He's like, oh my
understandably.
God. And he like pulls out a gun and shoots his kid 3 times, like double taps him in the head. A lot of double tapping
Gotta
in this
make sure.
movie. It's
Again, in the play, the kid has like, it's kind of like, he's like, they killed me, Mom. Run. And it's just kind of,
I am killed, mother.
Yeah.
I am killed.
I'm glad they took that out. It's like, he has like a bit of a Black Knight, Monty Python thing. It's like, oh, it's a flesh wound. Oh, they chopped my leg off. Oh, they got my other leg. Oh, run, mother.
Which Toshiro Mifune kind of got that death scene without words when, in a Throne of Blood when he's like stumbling down the stairs, takes 100 arrows. An exaggerated death scene's fun sometimes.
Sure. If the movie's, well, that movie's not fun.
If I can go back and just address that on the commentary, the guy's like, some critics at the time said that his death was way over the top and that nobody could survive that many arrows. And he's like, I'm pretty sure so-and-so from the New York Times doesn't know what he's actually talking about because I am a scholar about Japanese warfare. And he's like, with the armor they're wearing, they could actually easily shrug off that many arrows. They barely
Interesting.
pierce the skin. The killing blow is the neck, and it wouldn't be an instant kill.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, fucking stick it to that critic from 1957.
Kind of like Christopher Lee telling Peter Jackson on The Lord of the Rings, like, that's not what a man sounds like when he's stabbed to death. I stabbed a man to death in the war. I know what it sounds. That's not it. Like,
All right, Christopher, sit down.
Okay, we'll do it again on your mark.
we'll do it the way you want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He garrots Lady Macduff, and it's like a long and brutal scene.
Yeah.
Once
and it's
again,
not good.
I feel nothing. It's just annoying
Yeah.
that it's like shaky camera, and it's
And it takes so
Yeah.
long. But so yeah, while this is happening, people see the news footage. That's how word gets out in this one, where they find out that Macduff's.
That was poorly
family's
done.
killed.
I didn't realize that was news footage because it doesn't have like the information crawl at the bottom or anything. I thought it was just like a slideshow presentation of Macduff's
too
family.
cheap.
They
Yeah.
The news crawl on the bottom.
they didn't have news crawls in Shakespearean times, and this is a faithful adaptation, so
It's
they
all
chose not
adding
to
up.
do that.
We even see Lady Macbeth seeing the news and looking a little horrified by it.
She's not liking this.
Chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah.
So
Macduff goes.
Ross goes to meet Macduff and breaks the news to him, and he says,
Yeah.
"Let not your ears despise my tongue. I shall possess them with the heaviest sound they have yet heard." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Just tell me what the fuck. What is it? What is it?"
Yeah. I thought Macduff's performance was pretty good here. He hears his family's dead. He gives his monologue, and he's welling up. He's emotional. I was like, this would be really good in a normal Macbeth adaptation.
I like the other side gangster just being like, "Merciful heaven."
Yeah.
like,
like, this
in
is
this
shocking.
movie, I was like, yeah, it's such a Tarantino-esque movie. Like, he should have said, "Jesus fucking Christ." Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep harping back to what the play did or whatever, because for some people, this is Macbeth. This is the only Macbeth they know.
Yeah. That's sad but true.
For me, it is. Yeah.
But so in the play, there is actually, while Macduff is abroad in England, he's with Malcolm, and there's more scenes of them talking about their plan and like talking about how they're going to get these English lords. Like they put
Okay.
more into it, and they could have flushed out some of those scenes where instead of having like these guys silently sit next to Malcolm and ambush him at dinner and like
Yeah.
wordlessly order 3 soda pops or whatever. Like they could have woven some of that in, but they didn't, and I don't understand why he chose not to, because
They do have like all the co-conspirators against Macbeth now. There's like most people have turned against him. They're down at the pier, and this is where Macduff has met up with Malcolm again, and this is where the cops are, and the cops know. They told Malcolm that Macbeth is a traitor, and Malcolm tells Macduff, and
Are the
there's-
cops kind of the chorus in this movie?
I guess
I don't
so.
think this movie thought any of that stuff.
No,
out.
they don't. Other than they don't speak, but they're like they move the things along.
I guess.
They're vaguely aware of these gang wars going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have.
We
their
get to
plan.
Lady Macbeth now.
Yes.
And this is the scene where she can't wash her hands clean from the blood. Of course, she's topless and she's got the skimpy little bombas on.
Macbeth is like full cool guy now.
Basically 100% naked for like 10 minutes on screen.
Yeah, well, she's losing her shit. Macbeth is hanging out in his like dimly lit room that has more scarves than Steven Tyler's wardrobe.
He's been hitting the
Johnny
ball.
Depp's in there. It's too expensive to get that many scarves. Just throw Johnny Depp in there, no one will know.
Yeah.
Do you ever go scarf shopping and like reach into a pile of scarves and accidentally poke Johnny Depp in the eye?
Scarves don't look like scarves on screen. You got to put Johnny Depp's together.
Oh.
This is totally the fashion era that like old rock stars are still stuck in to this day, and you're Johnny Depp's, that type of a guy.
So yeah, Lady Macbeth, she's doing her out damn spot thing, and she's actually saying it, and I think delivering her lines pretty okay.
Yeah.
But she is, like Luke said, she's naked or topless at least, and because you gotta. People want to see skin.
I made a note that Macbeth rubs Lady Macbeth's bosom, so that
Yeah.
must happen in this
Yeah, she's like they give her some sedatives and lay her down on the bed.
Okay,
and, Sam Worthington as Macbeth goes onto the bed and he kind of has some lines and he's rubbing her titties as he's delivering them. And I was like, nice,
So
go for
sexy.
And while this is happening, we cut to Malcolm and Macduff just tooling up in the woods somewhere. They have just chest filled with assault rifles and banana clips, and they're getting
it.
ready
Grenade
to
launchers. And
yeah,
shit.
they're getting ready to take Macbeth to task.
Yeah, and Macbeth's now like really knows his goose is cooked. He grabs his little iPod and he puts it on one of those iHome speaker players that were so ubiquitous around this time, and he puts on very loudly the diegetic music as Beethoven's second movements, that dun 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 dun.
Gotta have the
dun,
diegetic.
but it's solo piano. So you get that like 3 or 4 times in the last half of this movie.
Yeah. And he's like having some drinks, and he's just kind of like drunkenly rambling to himself. It's like, oh no, the force has got to move to us. I can't. They can't. No man can beat me. And all of his buddies, all of his crew are just kind of nodding along. It's like, whatever you say, boss. Okay.
He's drunk.
Yeah.
He's drinking liquor. He's kind of dancing around like a madman.
Gone full crazy. Yeah, he's wearing a black leather kilt. He's doing like a Scottish dance. He's drunk. I think he's wearing shades a lot now. He's like a Mr. Cool guy who's going crazy.
Could have given us his hog.
Yeah,
Could
what the
have
heck?
shown us some cock. I mean, what are we doing
Yeah.
here? Yeah, so Macbeth's 2 thugs, they're intercepted in Burnham Wood. I don't know if they call it Burnham Wood in this movie, but we'll get to that later. But they're in the forest, and they get intercepted by Macduff and the boys.
Yeah.
And they get fucking double tapped really hard.
Yeah,
As Macbeth's calling them on their little 2006 flip phone.
what's going on? Macduff pats them down, and they find the garrote in one of the thugs' pocket. That was, and obviously he knows his wife was killed that way, so he's like, oh yeah, you're the guy who killed my wife. So yeah, he takes his time with these guys, gives them the double tap execution.
Yeah, shoots him in the legs, and then like shoots him in the chest, and then like twice in the head. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So they're dead, and it's at this time that we find out that Lady Macbeth has killed herself, and she's lying in a pool in her bathtub filled with blood, just so that one of her nipples is exposed, because got to get one last one before
One
she's
last look at that titty. That's
Tasteful.
like, yeah, the water's almost opaque. It's so red, but her one titty is hanging out, and you just like looking at this titty for like a good solid 2 minutes.
yeah. In another movie, it might be like a
gratuitous.
very evocative shot, but in this, they've just really gone over the top with it so many times that it's like, okay, again. But
Everything with the flat cinematography, it looks so bad.
Macbeth's kind of like
Luke's pulling his hair out.
I hate this movie.
It's not good.
no, it's yeah.
But we're going through it. We're doing it.
Macbeth finds her in the tub, and he's going even crazier. And this was probably my favorite reveal in the movie. Is Macbeth's got like security cameras, and he's looking through the camera, and you see Macduff and the boys. They've got a big logging truck.
I guess they're doing some
That's
kind
how
of
they do the forest coming to his
Yeah,
gas.
I thought that was kind of clever.
I didn't put that together at the time.
Me
One of my-
either.
And then they get in this huge logging truck, and it's got big logs on it.
Aha.
And he's like, Burnhamwood can't come to
Yeah.
Dunsinane. And he's dancing around.
He's having a chuckle fest and losing his mind.
Yeah, and then the truck comes blasting through the gates, and
See, I thought this was going to be like, I didn't realize it was supposed to be the forest coming to the gates. I thought it was like they're doing some kind of Trojan horse thing where they're like, we're going to hide in Macbeth's wood delivery and he'll let us in. But
what it
His
is.
weekly
I mean,
wood
it is
delivery.
partially that too, which is
Yeah.
kind of always what the woods coming to the castle was.
but then they just
It
smash
conceals
through
their
the
numbers.
gates. Like,
yeah,
so much for stealth.
they smash the gate, and then like you see it like freezes, and it goes and zooms in on the side of the truck, and on the side of the truck it says Burnham Lumber.
Okay.
And then he says, Burnhamwood has come to Dunsinane. And I'm like, all right.
Okay, I didn't put that together. But what he should have said is like, I'm not expecting my wood delivery until next Thursday. This is weird.
That's odd.
I ordered 8 large logs. Why are that?
So basically, he gestures to his few remaining guards.
Anybody who
Lock and
hasn't
load.
slipped off.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like the one black guy in the movie. He's like, I'm not going to survive this day, am I? He just grabs a big gun.
Yeah, and then there's a bunch of smoke bombs and poor lighting and laser scopes, and they lay siege to his house, and it's a shootout. You know,
Yeah.
I like. There's a little bit of squib work and some sparks, and I do appreciate that in this. Like, if you're gonna do it, they actually do have some of that stuff, but it's
Yeah,
just
they're playing the Beethoven again over this scene, and you can't really, like, it's pretty much all muted, all the other sound.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all in that slow frame rate, one
Yeah.
car wide kind of vision. This could have been better, and
it-
it's confusing. You can't really tell what's going on until they get to the cellar where
Yeah.
they have the final standoff, and then you're more live and in the moment. And this, I think, was a cool set.
Yeah,
I like it.
Macbeth's got a big wine cellar with these giant oak casks and the wine bottles everywhere. Pretty good place for like a gunfight.
Yeah,
And
and they're shooting those big barrels, and bottles are breaking everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
fucking brutal, and wine's splashing everywhere. It's dramatic.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's pretty cool, and he's doing like as he's like killing people. He's like, "Oh, you aren't of woman born," because he also hears that the only
Yeah.
no man of woman born can beat him. So he's just kind of chirping people like as he kills them and like teabagging them and stuff.
Yeah. He's got a cool line. He's like, "I have no words. My voice is my blade." It's like, oh, Macbeth has studied the blade. He's so cool.
Macduff has studied nothing. And
Yeah.
so then it's a showdown between Macbeth and Macduff, and it's a pretty brutal fist fight. And they just have the most outrageous sound effects when they're punching each other. It's like, poof, poof. Well, they're just like clocking each other, and I'm kind of digging it. Like, some of the action in this movie did work for me, but like,
Yeah.
But again, this is action that was in the play, and it all kind of like works with it. It's not just like senseless violence just for the
Yeah.
sake of it. There's kind of, as much as there are in this movie, this is where the emotional stakes are really coming to a head. And this is the climax, and it's a pretty good little showdown fight. And
Easily the best scene in the film.
yeah. Like as we said, they're in the cellar, and as they're fighting,
Yeah. They play a little knifey spoony, and this time Macduff wins. He gives the knifey to Macbeth.
he kills him with a broken bottle.
Oh, good God.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I thought it was a knife. Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
he's like,
okay.
you can't slay me, you can't slay me,
Yeah.
you're from woman born. And Macduff's like, that's like his big badass line is like, Macduff was from his mother's womb, untimely ripped, he says of
Yeah,
himself.
I was not of woman born.
And then he just kind of stabs him in the gut.
And
That's it.
And
Like,
he spits the tiniest loogie in the world onto his corpse.
yeah.
Just like
He should have snorted.
I didn't even notice that.
it's just like I'm like, come on, man.
That guy killed your family.
Hey, can we get a take two?
I'm
It's
out
like
of
70
spit.
takes later. Sam Worthington's just on the ground, just getting spit on.
and so then it ends with kind of Malcolm coming back to kind of reclaim his spot, and
Oh yeah, and Fleance, he picks up Macbeth's gun in the house, and there's like the housekeeper there, and she just kind of pops out, and he just shoots her immediately.
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. I was
That's
like,
all he contributes.
why did he do that? And then, yeah, I guess Fleance is going to take over that place.
yeah, and then there's the voiceover, and again, like, I don't know why they kept this out, but they have the voiceover where it's like tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and it's not even the whole soliloquy, but it's just like part of it when it's supposed to happen after Lady Macbeth dies. Like, that's where it is in the play, and he talks to himself, and he basically talks about how that's the whole out brief candle, like, life is it's a joke, and fuck it, I'm just gonna, if I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory because why not? I have the one life to live, and that's as good as anybody can have. And instead, they tack it on at the end, and it's this like kind of ghostly voiceover, and I think it's supposed to make you think that, you know, this movie's deep or something like that. I don't know why they did it that way.
Sucks. And they could have at least put the whole thing in. I'm sure Sam Worthington would have loved to have had his chance on film to read one of the most famous soliloquies in Shakespeare, and they didn't even give him the whole thing. But yeah, I guess after he's stabbed, like he crawled up and went and laid down in bed next to his wife.
Yeah, Lady
That's
Macbeth.
the end there, and then
Crawls
then
off
it's like,
to
well,
die.
now you can tomorrow it.
Let's all tomorrow.
Yeah. And
I'd
so-
be so choked.
Yeah.
If you're making a fucking Macbeth movie, and, I'm playing Macbeth, and like I'm not given an opportunity to deliver any one of his famous soliloquies.
Yeah.
It's
What a choice.
It's
like, so that's the problem. Like, he's faithful to it to a point, but then he like makes these weird. Geoffrey Wright made these weird choices to just move things around or omit things, which really just made it so muddled, and it sucks. It sucks.
Sucks dick.
Cut to credits, and like the credits. Watch out, they're going top down, not bottom up.
whoa.
And they
I
have
didn't notice that.
yeah. And then they have this like song. It's like the menu. It's the menu music from Perfect Dark, pretty much. And you just kind of hear these like the witches in the background every so often, like double, boil in trouble, and that was 2006's Macbeth. You guys think you like it?
No.
No, me neither.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't good by any means. Let's go around the horn.
Mitch, let's start with you today.
Macbeth has Shakespeare in general. In Macbeth, they have some themes that are really universal and timeless. So, in theory, they could, translate to any era. But I think it's pretty undeniable that they translate a lot better to Edo, Japan than they do to 2006 Australia. So, yeah, I gotta hand it to Throne of Blood for the superior Macbeth adaptation. It just got the insane atmosphere. Toshiro Mifune. Awesome performance. Everybody's great in it. Kurosawa wisely made the material his own. It wasn't a transliteral adaptation like the Geoffrey Wright one. So everything just really works in it, whereas Macbeth 2006 is just super dated feeling. It's not great all around. It doesn't work what they're trying to do. It feels more like an exercise and playing around with Shakespeare for some actors than it does like a nice movie that's cohesive. So it's hard to even recommend. I wouldn't say it's even worth a watch really, but Throne of Blood is a must watch. So Throne of Blood, that's my vote.
Yeah. I agree. Throne of Blood for sure, obviously. A movie kind of just gets better and richer every time I see it. First time I watched it, I kind of missed Shakespeare's dialogue, and the more I watch it, now I can appreciate more things about it and what it does differently on its own terms. It's really special even among Kurosawa's filmography, which is exceptional to say the least. Fucking A. Macbeth, I love it. I love the fucking story.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool, and I really love diving into it. And every little bit of research, every little rock I overturned on the story of Macbeth, and the story of Throne of Blood specifically, just kind of enriched it all for me.
It definitely speaks to how great.
Good pick, Mitch.
The Macbeth. Oh, thank you. I bet, even the fact that we just watched these two Macbeth movies, I still want to check out some more Macbeth adaptations. Mm-hmm. So I think that speaks to how engaging the story is. And
I want to see the Orson Welles one.
Yeah.
Definitely heard great things about that.
Yeah. I guess I'll give a slight edge to Throne of Blood in this one. I was so happy to watch it. One of my plans for the year with as I plan what movies I want to watch, I definitely want to dive into Kurosawa's filmography more, and I think I was really happy to kind of see that movie. I think it's looks like a very deep and rich well, so I'm looking forward to doing that. Masterclass in cinema. Macbeth, I mean, honestly, the best thing I can say about it is that I was really happy to revisit the text. As I was kind of prepping for this episode, I did listen to it done on audiobook, as I mentioned, and I haven't really gone through it since high school. It's just it's one of those plays that everybody does in high school. It's mandatory reading, and I get it more now. Like, when I was doing it in high school, you kind of go through the Shakespeare or whatever, but as I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser maybe, it hits differently. It looks great. It sounds great, and I was really happy to revisit that. This movie, it was a mess. Mess. You don't have to watch this at all. There's a reason that 90 people or whatever have reviewed it on Letterboxd, and I guess there's going to be 93 after this.
Yeah.
So, like Luke said, Throne of Blood, great pick. I'm so happy to have watched it. So, thanks for that.
Yeah, a high and a low.
Probably one of the highest highs and one of the lowest lows for sure. Next week, we're going to be changing it up a little bit. Luke, where are we going?
Well, talking about deep dives on directors' filmographies, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do 2 films by the same director. One would be a high and the other a low, definitely. And I hope you guys are carnivores out there because we're taking a bite on Meathead himself, Rob Reiner. So we'll be watching 2 different Rob Reiner movies, Stand By Me and North, the much derided film North, famously one of Ebert's most hated films. I haven't seen that one, but it should be good.
I'm looking forward to both of them. Stand By Me is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I can watch that anytime, and North, I'm sure I will watch it.
Carl Reiner's a real talent, and it's always nice to watch somebody
Rob.
who's talented.
Well, Carl is too.
So Rob Reiner's a real talent. Carl's good. But
Carl's better, probably.
Yeah. So it's always nice to watch a talented person bungle.
All right. Until next time when we're going to visit Rob Reiner, this has been High and Low. I'm Vonn.
I'm Mitchell.
I'm Luke.
Smell you later.
Bye.
Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.